this meeting to order. Back in session, City Council Complex, in the regular session. And Madam Clerk, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Would you please remain standing for invocation? Invocation will be given by Pastor Dan Revino. Please come to the podium.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to start tonight by thanking Mayor Garino for giving me this opportunity to come here tonight. I'd like to read the scripture first. It's in the book of Numbers, and preside over a blessing over this council. It says, "May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord cause his divine presence to shine upon you and be gracious upon you. May the Lord turn with favor unto you and give you peace." Let us bow our heads and pray. Heavenly Father, who directs the world on its course and governs all things according to his will, we invoke this blessing upon this great city of Nogales and upon these leadership here tonight. Guide them to walk in the right ways of the law and righteousness. Inspire these leaders of this great city of Nogales with the light of truth, and help them to establish this government in mercy and in justice and knowledge. Show thy compassion to all the inhabitants of this city of Nogales, and remove from our hearts hatred, envy, and strife. But do plant in our midst a spirit of brotherly love and the spirit of friendship and peace. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you.
Item number 4, history fun facts. That Disneyland trip is still up for grabs. So you have to answer the question. In 1878, Cyrus K. Holliday of the Atkinson, Topeka, and Santa Fe Rail wanted to expand to the Pacific coast. A decision was made to reach the coast at the port of Guaymas, Sonora, Mexico. In November of that year, a locator engineer by the name of William Raymond Ram Morley was hired to plan the route. On the U.S. side, it ran for 88 miles of track between Benson through Fairbank, Sonoita, and Patagonia to the border crossing point in the valley that would become Nogales, Arizona. On the Mexico side, Sonora Railway ran the line from Guaymas through Hermosillo to the border. Both railroads were owned by the Atkinson, Topeka, and Santa Fe Railway, better known as Santa Fe. The railroad was completed on October 5th, 1882. It is important to note that this was the first rail line linking the U.S. to Mexico. There was a huge celebration. Mrs. William Morley represented her husband away on assignment. She drove the final silver spike into the tie as people cheered and toasted the historic moment. 2 flags bearing diamond-stacked locomotives faced each other. The celebration continued with a dinner at the Santa Rita Hotel. In 1990, Southern Pacific launched a passenger train named the Burro. While the Burro passenger train remained until the 1950s, there was a first-class passenger train with deluxe Pullman cars named El Costano, which first operated from Tucson to Guadalajara in 1927. To further passenger service, the Southern Pacific constructed a luxury destination resort in Guaymas the Hotel Playa de Cortez. The Santa Fe also built the railroad depot. It straddled the border. It straddled the border where the DeConcini building is today. The north end of the depot was on the U.S. side, and the south end was on the Mexico side. It remained this way until approximately 1896 to 1898, when the U.S. government wanted to clear a 60-foot strip along the border. The rails made Nogales home, and it is responsible for a vast amount of trade and commerce. And the question is, what was the name of that depot? Question number one. He's cheating. He's looking at me. What was the name of that depot? Anybody knows? Anybody knows? Come on, guys. You graduated from Nogales High School. Well, you were around.
Yeah, but I was too old to remember.
Well, the name of the depot was actually named Nogales. What was the name? Why was it named Nogales?
Because of the trees.
Because of walnuts.
Actually, it was named after Elias Rancho Nogales, that had an abundance of walnut trees. Yes. But see, you had to get the first one for the two. You got the second one. I give you I don't know, a little token from my office or something. I mean, you guys are all residents of Nogales, and come on, guys.
These were the owners of the Sonora and El Mar.
Did anybody, did you know about the hotel? Anybody know about that hotel?
The one in Rio Rico?
No, we're gonna stop there. We'll stop right there. It was good. Yeah, it's, well, as you know, the railroad, well, actually, basically made our city. And it all started with actually taking people from one place to another. Then it went to the trades. But you know, I think eventually one day that's what will continue making our city the railroad, where the trade and commerce is coming from. Yes.
I got a correction here. Nogalitos was already Nogales before that they became big city. Nogalitos.
Nogalitos.
It was a ranching area. Much of cowboys.
They had a bowling alley.
Yeah. Not a water meter.
Oh, we're getting too deep here. That's all right. Okay, we're gonna go. I like this part. Don't you like item number 4? Isn't it the best in the whole concept? Mr. Arona, what do you think?
Concur.
Okay, item number 5, proclamation, and I'm going to have a rookie read the proclamation. So we've always done that as tradition. That do you have it with you?
I got it.
Mr. White? Okay.
Unless you have the big font.
This is with bigger font, if you need it. All right. Proclamation, Independence Day, Mexico Independence Day. Would you please?
Of course, Proclamation, the Independence of Mexico. Whereas there is a significant population of residents in the Santa Cruz County and the city of Nogales whose roots and strong ties go back to Mexico, and whereas the countries of the United States of America and the United States of Mexico are peaceful nations who both enjoy liberty, freedom, and democracy, and whereas the Consulate General of Mexico in Nogales is the official representative of the Mexican government and establishes permanent contact with the people of the local community living within its jurisdiction to expedite necessary information about their country in a way which will protect Mexican residents living in the area, and whereas the Mexican government, through its official representative, the Mexican Consulate General, serves and has served the Mexican residents in this local jurisdiction since May 14, 1885, whereas the country of Mexico started the fight for independence from Spain in 1810 and has always celebrated with El Grito de Dolores on September 15th and Independence Day on September 16th. Whereas on September 16, 1810, Father Miguel Hidalgo y Costilla rang the bell of his church in the town of Dolores, state of Guanajuato, to gather the people and called cry of independence known as El Grito de Dolores, the cry of Dolores. And whereas the city of Nogales, in conjunction with the Mexican Consulate General, the Mexican citizenry of the city of Nogales, Arizona, the Mexican American community, and our neighbor city of Nogales, Sonora, celebrates the special occasion of the independence of Mexico. Now therefore be it proclaimed that the City Council of the City of Nogales and residents of the City of Nogales join in congratulating the Mexican people and government and the people of the sister city of Nogales, Sonora in the celebration of their independence, and convey through the Consulate General of Mexico in Nogales, Arizona, continued prosperity and peaceful relations between both countries and cities, with a spirit of cooperation that unites us as an economic, cultural, and historical region now and in the future. In witness whereof we have hereunto set in our hands and caused to be affixed the great seal of the city of Nogales, county of Santa Cruz, Arizona, Arturo R. Garino, Mayor, done at City Hall in Nogales, Arizona, this 7th day of September in the year of our Lord 2011, and of the independence of the United States of America, the 235.
Thank you very much, Mr. White. Ahora en español, por favor. I know, he could do it. He's good. You see how he said Grito de Dolores?
Very good. Yeah, very good. I have another reason. Very good.
Okay, item number 6, call to the public. I have 3. Victor Harrington.
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, Council. My name is Victor Hetherington. I'm the president of the MPOA, which is the Nogales Police Officers Association. I reside at 124 Avenida Pastor in Rio Rico, Arizona. I'm here in front of Council and Mayor today to let them know that the other day I was approached and asked about our contract because the CWA and Fire had already had their contract in front of Council, and you guys had wrote it on, and our contract hasn't made it to that far yet. I want to let Mayor and Council know that we are working with the city manager, who's working with us as well. We're trying to get some last minute issues resolved, and we're hoping to very soon have our contract taken care of and done so we can present to Mayor and City Council. And it was just a quick update to let you guys know that we are working, and we're hoping to have everything resolved very shortly.
Thank you, Victor. We usually don't respond, but you know, one thing that once the legal and the city manager complete that with your negotiations and your work, it will come forth to the city councils. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Larry Lopez.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, Mr. City Manager, Mr. City Attorney. My name is Larry Lopez. I'm the president of the Arizona Conference of Police and Sheriffs, ADSCOPS. Our address is 333 West Fort Lowell in Tucson, Arizona, suite number 211. I'm here speaking in support of the NPOA and Victor and his members. The NPOA is an affiliate of ASCOPS. ASCOPS has 97 affiliates throughout the state. We represent all of law enforcement, police officers, sheriff's deputies, corrections, and probation officers. We have over 5,000 members throughout the state. Our main office is located out in Tucson on the address that I just gave. I'm here in support of the officers of the NPOA, and I'm also here to let you know that I'm very honored to be speaking in front of you. It's been great meeting all of you. There's some new faces on the council, and it's been wonderful to meet you. I know there are some things that are going on that Victor just touched upon, that some things that need to be addressed, and I also understand that none of you can respond to any of the statements that are made here today. But I also wanted to let you know that members of ASCOPS, our ASCOPS staff, is in full support of Victor and the NPOA, and we will assist in any way we can with Mr. City Manager as well. If you have anything that I can help with, please feel free to call. Victor has my information that can be provided to any one of you. So I just wanted again to show great support for the NPOA and the police officers, but more importantly, the police officers of this community are fantastic officers. They have been members of ASCOPS for a long, long time. They've always been hard workers, and they really enjoy and put a lot of commitment into working in this community. So you all should be very, very proud of the men and women of this police department. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lopez. Mr. Manfred Cripe.
Good evening, Mayor and council members and hangers-on and whatever. My name is Manfred Cripe. I live in Colonial del Sol, up behind the hospital at 637 North Placita de las Lomitas. I've lived there for 30 years. I heard recently that the city of Nogales was going to discontinue its recycling. I am here today to tell you why Nogales needs recycling. This is my trash. Sorry, I put this on too tight. So this is my trash from the last couple of days, or the last day or so. This side is recycling, can be recycled. And this side I don't really want to go into. Just think of it. This is just my trash. We're supposed to have someplace around 20,000 people in this community. And so if everybody had this much or more, our landfills would fill up a lot more quickly. It was stated that recycling costs money. I guess no one thought of the extra space in the landfill that all this trash is going to take. So you all seem to think of the short-term expense rather than the long-term benefit. Let's see how much of this trash can be recycled. Your blue bins stated paper, white, colored, and newspaper. Plastic, 1 and 2. Glass and aluminum. That's what was on the blue bin. Look at this thing. It's plastic. Where does plastic come from, folks? Petroleum products. Y'all complain about the price of gas? Well, it's supply and demand, and if you're using your petroleum to make things like this, we got a problem. Paper. More paper. Stuff I wrote on. Plastic. Everything we buy, folks, comes almost in plastic. Jay Leno said, you know, if we can seal plastic, why can't we seal the border the same way? Anyway. Newspapers. This is approximately, they're not quite equal. I would say this is about 60%. It weighs a little bit more. But folks, this has money in it. Plastic, paper, aluminum. And what do you want to do? Or what's in the bloomin' trash? I'll leave that guy up there so you can look at it. So, point number 1 is, would it not make more sense and be economically viable to recycle and deal with about 40% less trash? That 40% is my personal number based on my own trash. Point number 2, our resources are finite. They need to be recycled. We need to educate our families that paper, plastic, glass, aluminum need to go into recycling, not into the garbage. Yes, this takes an effort from the adults of the family. This is why your previous attempt failed. We were given gray and blue bins with little instruction. People complained they were not big enough. Why were they not big enough? They were not informed what they could recycle and what not. That's why they were not big enough. Because as you can see from my example, at least 40% should be able to be recycled today, because almost everything we buy is packaged. Point number 3, there needs to be a massive education campaign in English and Spanish, maybe even Korean, I don't know, in the homes, schools, and workplace, and there need to be consequences. I would let the consequences be up to you. But you all fine us for speeding. And I know you have had to educate me once. So, the question is, do you want to deal with this much trash or 40% less? Some of you will probably say, well, it's only 40%, what's a big deal? But I would hope, as elected leaders of this unique city, that you would rather spend your time promoting our city. Let me get all my stuff collected here. I would hope, as elected leaders of this unique city, that you would rather spend your time promoting our city than to deal with this amount of trash from one person. Even though it might cost a little in the short term, but would recycle some of our finite resources and perhaps save in the long term if it is done right. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Craig. And Mr. Craig?
Yes.
For your information, we are working on a recycle program.
Thank you.
You know, and it was just a little misunderstanding last time that we talked about it.
That's what I hoped for.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. Yes, Mr. Dooley?
Mr. Craig?
Mr. Craig? Mr. Dooley?
Just, I hope you have some extra time to stick around for item number 9 because it's dealing with some recycling issues. So I just wanted to let you know.
I'm sorry, I have to leave shortly because my wife is going to be substituting at Cochise and I have to take her over.
Feel free to call me and I'll let you know what it was about.
Okay, thank you.
That's all we have for call to the public. Anybody else in the audience would like to? There's some people here, but I think you're going to speak during the item. Yes. Okay, item number 7, consent agenda. Motion of consent agenda from items from A to D. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you very much. Item number 8, presentation 4th of July financial report. Parks, Mr. Bachelier.
Mayor, members of the council, I provided in your packet a post-event report for this year's 4th of July. The very front page is the actual accounting of the expenditures and revenues that were part of that event. And the attached pages are just support documentation as it related to in-kind city support and the actual cost for that. In addition, is there a summary of comments that I received from the council as well as from others in the community and from the committee as it related to good things that we want to keep for next year's event and things that we need to work on to improve the event. If there's anything in particular that you would like me to touch on as far as the financial aspect of the report, I'm more than happy to summarize that.
Well, I just want to say, Mr. Gacciarelli, it's a great job. You did a great job, and all the staff that worked on that, and 21,000 from the money is very good. Very good from 25,000. So that's what we like to see. It was a great event. Everybody loved it. A lot of people were there, so we didn't cut corners. So we did well with the amount.
And just for the audience sake, the budget for that event is $25,000.
So you did, revenue was 8,000?
Correct.
8,000
Total.
430. Well, that would be subtracted from the 21. Actually?
Correct.
Yes.
And then we figure in the in-kind costs, we're still a little bit.
Yes. That's
In the
very
red.
good. Great job.
Did a good job, Michelle, and good breakdown on the next time.
Great job. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Yeah, Marcel, this is a question. In other years, have we added the in-kind
We started doing that last year,
last year?
and we're probably, I'm gonna guess, within $100 of what we actually expended in kind from this year to last year. So it's really not that big of a difference.
But last year, I think it was 35 or 36,000. What did we spend last year?
Last year in kind was 12,480.
And what was the total that we spent last year?
The total that we spent was 40,655.
So it was like $9,000 more?
Correct.
Well, we did a hell of a job then.
Very good.
Hopefully we'll keep it like that.
We had a great committee.
Yes, Mr. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Keep the same committee.
Yeah, keep the same committee.
Marcel, I just wanted to echo the accolades that you and the rest of the staff already received tonight. Heck of a job on this. I did hear one comment in terms of an opinion for next year's consideration that I don't see on your list on either side.
Okay.
And one of them has to do with the actual the selection, not the selection. It's about the tents and the vendors having more of an option instead of having 10 carne asada booths. You have more of an option out there.
A better menu.
However you want to put it. I've heard that from several different people,
heard it
and so
too.
I thought I'd just pass that along.
Okay.
Great job, though, Marcel. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Item number 9, discussion and update on various sanitation programs, commercial audit, pilot recycling program, and draft solid waste ordinance.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, go ahead.
Just to open this up. A lot of what you're going to hear tonight has been long awaiting. We conducted an audit last December on our commercial accounts. It's taken quite a bit of effort on staff's part to get it to a point where we felt comfortable, bringing it forward to council for consideration. A lot of what we're talking about tonight is really strictly administrative. There are some legislative components to it that obviously will be brought back to you as a council for consideration. There's some things that might just be strictly administrative, but we're bringing it to you tonight for input. We want to make sure you're informed on what's happening and how we need to move forward in terms of putting into place the ordinances that are already enacted by council. But I wanted to just kind of lay the foundation in terms of where we're at, and there's 3 different pieces to what we're bringing forward to you tonight. So bear with us. Each one has its own staff summary report, so you can go back to it and refer to that. Without further ado, we'll turn it over to Aaron, who's been kind of the spearhead in getting us to this point.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, Mr. Dilly. If it's okay, I'd like to start with the recycling plan first and then move on to the commercial audit. So in your packets, you'll see a little flyer that we've made here, and it's our new recycle plan. And I just want to run through it and tell you what we're thinking about that I think is really a great plan and can put us ahead of the curve as compared to other municipalities within the state. So currently what we do, and all of us know, Monday or Tuesday you put out your gray bin full of trash, it gets picked up. Thursday or Friday you get your gray bin and your blue bin picked up. But unfortunately they all go into the same trash, right? And as we heard from Mr. Kurt Wall last month, some of it's getting pulled out of that pile, especially cardboard and stuff. But our plan is to kind of flip that on its head and to use both bins for trash on Monday and Tuesday. So where I live, my trash gets picked up Mondays and Thursdays. So on Monday, I would put out both my blue bin and my gray bin full of trash, preferably in a bag, right, so it doesn't get the bin too dirty. And that would give us 130 gallons worth of trash that could be picked up. That's
Almost
a
30%.
third more.
Yeah.
30% more than our municipal counterparts throughout the state that have 95 gallons that get picked up once a week. So that's the first plan, Monday and Tuesday, trash in both the bins. Then on Thursday, in my neighborhood, or Thursday or Friday, whichever neighborhood you live in, you would use the blue bin, and it would just be recyclables. So the trash would be picked up once a week, but we're doubling our capacity for trash, which answers one of the questions that was on our minds before to avoid flies and infestations and problems like that. So with 130 gallons of closed container trash, we should be able to avoid those problems. While on Thursday and Friday, we can still have a curbside recycling program that would work. We would collect plastics 1 and 2, aluminum, paper, everything that our good president here had mentioned. We would pick those up, and we would have a clean truck, a clean recycling truck that would go across the scales and not get charged. So we would be saving $55 every time that truck picks up a clean load. So we're fairly confident that we could definitely see a savings in our annual tipping fees by implementing this plan. And so our train of thought in doing this and following the advice of our good mayor is to have a pilot program. And the area that we've concentrated on, mostly for administrative reasons because it will work well in notifying our residents, is to do the route that includes Valle Verde, Villa Hermosa, Mi Casa RV Park, and Meadow Hills. So that's all one residential refuse route. And so we would start there. Our timeline would be to start an informational campaign to that specific area. During the September utility bill, we would send out this flyer along with a letter in both English and Spanish, and the flyer in both English and Spanish, explaining to them specifically how we're going to do it. And then during the month of October, hold maybe 1 or 2 town hall meetings, preferably in the area, and maybe in Valle Verde or in Meadow Hills, maybe at one of the schools there, and invite the community to come out in that specific area, and we can really reach out to them, answer their questions, and inform them as to what the plan is. And then we would implement the pilot program My estimation would be, our first day would be Monday, October 31st, Halloween Day. So it's a day that people would remember, it's a holiday, so we could start on that day. And then run the pilot program at least through the end of December, if not longer, and start to get some feedback as to how the program's working, what's not working, what is working, and engage the community again at that time to get their feedback. And if it's successful, let's say hopefully by January or February, then our city's, one of our New Year's resolutions, we could say, would be to implement a citywide curbside recycling program. The hope is that this pilot program would do a lot of the informational campaign that we would need. That people in this pilot program area hopefully will see the success of it, and we'll start talking, and the word will get out, and people will be excited. They'll see that we're actually recycling, that there's a savings to the city, and that it can work in every neighborhood. And so that's the first point here. And just to remind you, this plan has no new operational costs to the department. We're not buying a new truck. We're not doing that. We're not buying new staff to do it. It's just it's a remanipulation of what we already have to make it work, to provide the capacity that we need for our residents, and to also provide the service that our residents are wanting to participate in. So that's that. Are there any questions or comments?
Yes, go ahead.
Do we still have that machine that separates the? I heard that it was gone. What do you call that?
The sort line?
Uh-huh.
Kurt Wall from Tucson Recycling is here. He may be able to be the best one to answer that question, but I do know that the sort line is still there. In talking with Mr. Wall, at least
gone. Short line is gone.
It is gone.
Mr. White, I think I can answer that.
Yeah, please.
I can answer that. If we have a clean truck with all recyclable materials show up at Public Works, at the transfer station, we'll save on the tonnage at $52 a ton at the scale. The truck basically runs between 6 and 8 tons, so there's a savings there. That truck will be dumped into a truck that will be transferred to Tucson, where Tucson Recycle, the company that we have a contract with, they will recycle and sort it, because this will be commingled material, recyclable material, clean material in Tucson. So the sorting plant and the conveyor belt that they had here will no longer exist, but they'll be transferred to Tucson. So they will sort it over there, but there'll be a savings of weight, for one thing, and then there'll be money coming back to us on the sale of commodities. So it's a good deal. Am I correct on that?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I appreciate that clarification.
Was anybody else have any questions?
I just wanted to just add to what you said, Mayor. Our contractual relationship with Tucson Recycling, it is really clear. If the city is successful in bringing what qualifies as a clean load, regardless of whether there's a sort line in place or not, Tucson Recycling will accept that. We won't get billed as a tipping fee for that truck. And then they go and process it with their connections in Tucson or wherever they need to take it. And if there's a return in the proceeds, we have a benefit of that as well. And that's largely dependent on what the market will bear. Sometimes there is a market for those commodities, sometimes it's not. But what we do know is that we're not going to get the tipping fee for that load. And hopefully that material is completely diverted from our landfills, which is a secondary benefit of being able to have a recycling program.
Thank you, Mr. Dude, thank you very much. That was very good, and it's long overdue, and I'm glad we're getting into this pilot program. Which is,
so generally on this, before we move on to the next topic, as a council, you feel comfortable moving forward with this type of program, this pilot program?
Mr. Harasiak, contestor? Go ahead, Mr. Young. Go ahead, Mr. Dillon.
Before we move on to the next item, we'll leave recycling at that point. I just want to make sure that the council is comfortable moving forward with this pilot program. We'll evaluate, we'll bring back if it's successful or not. Either way, we'll give you the input, but I think this marks a new day for Nogales and being able to provide a qualified curbside recycle program.
Mr. Gonzalez, go ahead. Yes, sir.
I think it'll, hopefully will work out very well, right? And I'm glad that you took the bull by the horns to turn this around, because it was really going nowhere. And part of the problem was that from the beginning, it was the bin was too small, what they were picking up with. But hopefully, as long as the people understand what they have to do, I think it could be very, very successful, and I think it'd be very, very good for the community.
Thank you.
And we'll eliminate the thought that that it was a misunderstanding, like the mayor said, that we're not recycling. We've never stopped recycling.
Just, it's all in the message, okay? It's all in the message that we gotta get out there. That'll make it a successful program, and it'll work, Eric.
And I give you my commitment to
Thank you very much.
beat the pavement to make it work as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We can move on.
Okay, so the second item then is the commercial refuse collection audit and reconciliation plan. So as Mr. Dilly said, the audit was done several months ago, and we've identified certain accounts that need to be reconciled. And we found that in that reconciliation, there's a potential annual revenue realization of about $100,000 to $120,000 that we could see there. So, first of all, looking at the staff summary and the staff action items, the first item is inclusion of a new commercial refuse collection service agreement. In your packets, you have a copy of the service agreement that we have currently, that we give to our customers, and it's pretty bare bones. And so this new commercial service agreement is much more detailed and more formal and binding, and outlines more specifically what the city's responsibilities are, and as well what the customer's responsibilities are.
Aaron, let me interrupt you for a second. Do you have it as loose leaf, the existing contract?
I do not.
So the
It
existing
should be.
contract that we use today is immediately following the new proposed contract. It looks something like this in your packets, okay? Pretty bare bone, doesn't have a whole lot of meat to it. And immediately following the staff summary report for this item is what Aaron is talking about in terms of proposed new contract to be using for all of our service agreements, whether it's commercial or residential. Or is it just commercial?
This is just commercial.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So this service agreement is much more specific, and we hope that will help clarify some of the problems that we found in the audit. And so in part of our letter writing campaign, or reaching out as customer service agents to our customers, we will engage our customers in this new contract, so that we can formalize that relationship. And then also in your packet, you'll see 3 different letters that we will be sending out to the various discrepancies that we have found during the audit to the different customers. And so the first one would be going out to someone that we have noticed could save money on their monthly bill. That they are requesting more service than what they actually need. And so we're going to reach out to them and say, oh, according to our audit, we think your establishment could save however much money a month. And so that's the first letter that's there. And then the second letter is going to those customers that are demanding more service than what they had originally requested. I spoke to Mr. Suarez in our revenue department, and he said, a lot of times customers come in and they really have no idea how much trash they generate, or how big of a bin they need, or how often it needs to be picked up. And so this audit helps to show us that some people didn't need as much, or some people need more. And so this second letter would be going out to those customers that that really do need a bigger bin, or need to be picked up maybe one more time a week, whatever their need may be. And then the third letter would go to our downtown merchants. Currently, our downtown merchants, and in the staff summary report, it describes exactly what those parameters are geographically to be a downtown merchant. They get picked up 6 times a week, but they only pay the minimum charge, which is $55 a month, which the minimum charge is for 2 collections a week for 1 cubic yard. But they're getting 6 times a week. And so our goal is to reach out to those merchants and find out, what's the best way that we can handle that. And so we want to reach out to them through an account specialist, maybe set up some meetings with them and find out what would be the best way to do that. And we are happy to provide the service for them if they want it picked up 6 times a week, but they would have to pay the prevailing rates that have been that are in our city charter or in our city code. And so that's the first part of this audit. The other part that we've noticed is you can see on these maps, and if you can't see it all, I can bring it around.
I'm sorry, let me interrupt you one more time. Before we move on to the routes, we kind of, as staff, we kind of looked at this audit on our commercial accounts from kind of a unique perspective. The way we engage the service of collecting solid waste for our commercial accounts is and Aaron indicated this, it's by request. A business comes in, says, hey, we need garbage, and they fill out that rudimentary form, and it indicates I need a 2-yard container or a 6-yard container, and I need to be picked up, twice a week. And so that's at the onset of a business starting an account with us, and so we start providing that level of service. Sometimes that level of service is more than what they really need, which is where the audit came in to help us out. Sometimes it's not enough. Sometimes they're actually demanding more service than what they originally came in to sign up for, which is where the audit came in to help us as well. And so it's almost like your cell phone service. You call up Verizon or whoever it is, and you say, hey, I want your 500-minute plan. There are times when you don't use that 500-minute plan, but you're still being charged for the 500 minutes. What we're doing is we're taking an extra step in saying to those businesses, and there's quite a few, hey, listen, our audit revealed that what you originally signed up for, you could actually save money. Come talk to us, and we'll show you how. But there's other businesses where, hey, what you originally signed up for, you're actually demanding a lot more in terms of service. And so come on in, we need to talk about that. You tell us, business, you tell us what you need. Here's what we found you're asking for, but you really need to tell us. And if you can scale back on that, then then fine. But if this is what you really need, then this is what we're going to have to do with your account. Okay, we're kind of taking that kind of an approach, which I think is a very customer-friendly way of handling this, and we're really excited to be able to roll this out and move forward. And I just wanted to have that dialogue with you in terms of our approach prior to us moving forward with the next portion of our audit.
Go ahead.
I think the approach is excellent. The only thing for downtown merchants and different merchants in Nogales, they really don't generate garbage. Most of it is cardboard. I mean, if you look at downtown, if you go around downtown, it's cardboard. I mean, 90% of what they're throwing out is cardboard. It's the boxes that the things came in. Some of it is the plastic, but the majority of it is just cardboard. A retail store is really not going to generate garbage. There's nothing to generate. It's just cardboard. So, and I understand that's going to be taken into consideration because that has been brought up before, and I talked to a couple times to downtown merchants. They're more than happy to go ahead and fold all the cardboard so that all we're picking up is cardboard. And maybe that can just be recycled, and that's not going against anybody, right? That they don't get charged for actually delivering cardboard, which we could make hopefully some kind of money off the deal.
So obviously that kind of dialogue would come forward
Yes.
as we reached out to
That's why I
them.
congratulate you on that too. Yes.
The ordinance is pretty specific. What we call it, loose, that's a category or no? We term it that way.
Yeah, in our audit.
Because we don't have a container for our downtown merchants. And for good reason. There's just not a lot of room down there to have all those containers out. But the minimum rate of $55 for a commercial is very specific in that it's 1 cubic yard, which is a certain number of containers. We can measure that out. But because we don't have containers, we kind of eyeball it. But it's a certain amount and it's picked up twice a week. Our crews are down there 6 times a week. you
6
guys.
times a day.
Well, but that's the kind of product that's being generated down there, and somehow we have to get ourselves around that. And whatever it is, if we're sending our crews there that many times, the $55 a month just isn't covering that. And that's what the audit is coming in. And so we'll have to engage them and have this dialogue. But we wanted to bring that forward to you as a council so you had the heads up and knowing how we're proceeding.
But you do charge for the containers on the commercial side, right? There is a charge for the size of the containers?
If they are issued a container that's not just the normal 65-gallon container, if it's like the 2-yard or the 4-yard or 6-yard, absolutely there's a cost associated with that. But because there's this circumstance in our downtown area where we couldn't assign a container for spatial reasons, they all got assigned to this what we term loose category, which is just your minimum monthly charge of $55. But really, that is just 2 pickups a week and 1 cubic yard.
But, Mr. Mayor, but that's like a container, right?
It is,
like
it
a
is.
small container.
It is.
So every business basically is paying for a container, even though in our books we're carrying it as a container.
That's right.
But they really don't have containers. But it is a container.
But
We're
what-
considering a container.
Right, but what we're finding out is that for business A, who actually is assigned a container, just a regular 65-gallon container, and business B, who is in the loose category, because they can't be assigned a container, business B is typically demanding a whole lot more service than business A.
Sure.
Because, you can't contain it all in that container. So it's just a matter of getting our arms around this and having that dialogue and moving forward.
Anything else?
No, it's fine. Go ahead.
So then, to move on, also what we've seen is our commercial routes are the truck routes that we have every day are, well, I don't know, wide and varied. I don't know what the best word is for it.
That's a good way to put it.
Are they well defined?
Sometimes. So, as you can see, so the map on the right, the red line, that's the whole city. Thank you, Mr. Dilly. The top left corner is Meadow Hills, the schools north of Meadow Hills there, and then all the way down to the international border. And so this is one day, one truck, one route. As you can see, this truck went out to Monte Carlo, went down to the hospital, went up to the schools in Meadow Hills, went downtown, all over town. And
How do we know that this is the route for one truck?
oh yeah, so we found out there's a GPS system that we have in the truck, and so finally I got my arms around it and was able to make this map. So I just found out about it a couple weeks ago, about a week and a half ago. And so this one truck is driving, I don't know how many miles. Those trucks get about 2 miles a gallon, and diesel costs right now are high. So you can imagine how much it's costing us to operate that one truck. Now multiply that times 5 trucks. So we have 5 commercial routes every day, 5 days a week. Saturday we just have 1 truck. And so our plan, and this is straight off of the wall at Public Works, so I'm sorry I don't have a handout of this, but we will have four geographically defined areas of the city. And each geographical area represented by a color on this map, so we see yellow, green, purple, and blue, will be one truck. And that truck will then be assigned to that geographic area throughout the week. So hopefully cutting down on our fuel consumption. And as we're creating these routes, it's not going as fast as we would like it to do, because we're really working into the details to make sure that to pick up one container here, we don't skip one to pick up another one. We want to make sure that we do it right, to really realize the savings in making an efficient operation here. So if you'll notice, I said that there were 5 trucks in what we're doing currently. This has 4 trucks. And so that would free up a truck and two employees. And boy, I don't know about you all, but my mind is going crazy with the things that we could do with that 1 truck and 2 people on that truck.
Green waste.
Green waste.
Just,
We could make sure the green waste is picked up every week throughout the whole town.
I was gonna call you today.
Oh boy.
They called me at 5:45 this morning.
This morning. Don't call me, please.
No. I was gonna call you when I got to the office, but because of the green waste.
Mr. Mayor and
I'll talk to
Council.
Mr. Dilly about it.
Our phones are flooded, your phones are flooded personally. Most of those calls, at least from my experience in talking with staff, most of our sanitation complaints stem or circle around the green waste pickup. And if somehow we could free up a truck with manpower, that is not an additional cost to us because we're paying for it already. But now we can dedicate it to some of these things, bulk collection or green waste collection, that tend to be just this shadow that continually covers us, and we can start seeing a way through it. So that's the idea behind reevaluating. Besides the fact we want to be as efficient as possible, seeing this opened up all sorts of different doors for us in terms of being able to provide a better service to our community.
Well, actually, the way I look at it, Mr. Dilly, Mr. White, the green waste issue will probably be another agenda item in the future by itself. Because it's not actually on this agenda item, but that's how much there is out there to pick up. And the personnel and like you say, the truck and there's certain ways of treating green waste that we could chip, we could mulch, we could change it around. And that is a whole different animal.
And all of that is possible. All those options for green waste, dealing with green waste, all those options become available to us if we can keep it clean,
Yes.
where it's not mixed with other stuff. So anyway, there's a lot of possibilities, but that's all coming from our ability to move forward with things like this.
And if I may add one more point to this, to the commercial routes, besides freeing up 1 truck and 2 FTEs every day, our idea also is to balance out the routes so that we will only have 1 commercial truck route on Wednesday. And so most of our commercial customers get picked up twice a week, Monday or Thursday, Tuesday or Friday. There are others that get picked up 3, 4, 5, or 6 times a week, but not as many. And so the hope there would also be to free up more trucks on Wednesday and more FTEs on Wednesday so that we could really conquer the green waste issue that we're looking at. So I think it's a great opportunity that we have in our hands here, and I look forward to coming back and presenting the results.
Implementing a change like this for our commercial customers, in many cases would mean a change in maybe the day that we service them, or the days that we service them. Not the number of days that we service, but maybe somebody who was on a Monday-Friday schedule, we might have to switch them to a Monday-Thursday or a Tuesday-Friday or something like that. So just so you know, again, kind of a heads up that when we implement something like this, it does mean some scheduling changes for our customers.
And we will reach out to the customers and notify them of any changes. I mean, obviously, our first priority is to our customers.
Right.
Any other comments?
No.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And then the third item is licensing requirements for private commercial and industrial waste haulers. So we've noticed that other cities around the state, specifically Casa Grande, Sierra Vista, and others, have implemented a more detailed application process to get a license to be able to collect and haul waste within the city. So for example, Waste Management has several large roll-offs in our city. And so before you is just, this isn't an actionable item, it's just as a preview for you to look at. But this proposed ordinance and subsequent application, which is behind the ordinance, would allow us to understand, number one, what is going on in our city, what kind of trucks and containers are out there. This ordinance would require private waste haulers to make sure their loads are watertight, that they're covered, and other things like that. And so this is our step to come in line with really every other city in the state that has taken similar steps.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, this being an ordinance right now is simply something we're kind of priming the pump on with you in terms of getting it in front of you, allowing your eyes on it, and the input that you might have on it. But for this to be enacted, as Aaron mentioned, we would have to bring it back to you for a formal council action. And really, the whole idea behind this is so that we can stay ahead of the curve and address current state statutes, and make sure that we are prepared to deal with these other service providers in the event that they want to, to come in and provide service in our community. So this is being very proactive on the city's part, but it does prepare us for that event in the future. And so, unless there's any comments that you want us to incorporate in this at this point in time, we'll just schedule this up for a future meeting where you guys can take formal action.
Any questions from council?
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Item number 10, discussion regarding development of a new business incentive program for the city of Nogales. And I want to open this up, the discussion. I placed this on the agenda because of the opportunities that I think we actually have lost within the city when it comes to business, when it comes to developing, and now with the opportunities that we have with trade. So I've noticed in the past other cities that the incentives that they have and how they waive certain things to have businesses relocate to their city and employ more people and boost the economy. But there's so many things that I think we as a council should be able to talk about so that we can pinpoint exactly what kind of incentives we can actually legally give somebody to relocate in our city or to develop something in our city. The opportunities that we have in the future with the Canamex corridor, the expansion of the port of entry, an industrial park, all I see is that if we don't create some type of incentive program, we might lose out on opportunities, and they're going to be going to Tucson, and they're going to be going to their port over there, and I still don't know why Tucson calls themselves a port. They're not the port, we are the port. But they're really moving along, and they do have incentives over there. They have incentives in some of the areas around the Casa Grande area. Why? Because Interstate 8 and I-10, they're preparing themselves for the Canamex corridor, and everybody's doing it. We should start preparing ourselves with this, and there's ways of doing it with the city sales tax, but one of the ways that can be done is you just don't offer somebody, the way I look at it, you just don't offer somebody and say, you know what, we won't charge a sales tax for a year or 2 years, relocate to Nogales, but you have to hire 250 people for X amount of years. What we do is we say, if you keep this up, then we'll
boost it up and help. So if you hire 100 people, or you have 10 companies that hire 10 people, which is probably better than one company hiring 100. Because if that one company goes, well, the whole 100 people are out of a job. But if you hire 10, if you get 10 companies or 10 businesses with 10 people, you have a better opportunity. But if we offer to them the opportunities that if they increase the employment, then we can probably reduce, say, the sales tax, fees for connection fees. There's a lot of things we can do. And then if we work together with the county on this issue, the county has the property tax, and that's an incentive, and that's the way to go. Because if we don't prepare ourselves for this, I've sat down with you, Mr. Dillon, and talked about this, is that we will lose out on a lot. What point is to have the jewel of the desert of a port that we're going to have in 2.5 years, and not have incentives prepared for the economy? So. I'm just opening this up to you, members of the council, for ideas, for incentives. I'm sure you all have something that you think would be beneficial for growth, for development, and for employment for our city. And then this is the direction that I plan, hopefully tonight, to give to staff and the city attorney, so that they can look into this, so that it be something we could do legally and professionally, and with one goal in mind: to improve our economy and to prepare ourselves for the future trade of our port. Yes, Mr. Parra.
I think we ought to start a partnership with the other nonprofit organizations in town, and partnership well with utility companies. So that's an incentive right there. You know, they could give them a special rate to get the business going, instead of in the old days, to keep the business up, they will give them a huge payment to pay, so they will stay here.
That's good.
That happened in the past.
That's something there.
So that's something we have to work on in partnership with the contractors and non-profit organizations.
You writing this down, Mr. Dillon? Good.
Yeah, and I got a fresh pen, so
And that's it. And, you know, those are the points. And Mr. Diaz, do you have something that you think you could, an incentive that you think would be good to, so we can prepare a policy?
I think we would have to start here at, say, at the city level, having our employees, staff, everybody being more courteous, more helpful to our citizenship, to people coming in, give them a helping hand, give them information, even more information than they ask for, being very informative, and to start, and then after, then everything else will kick in.
Actually, a business-friendly community.
Business-friendly.
And probably facilitating the permit process for developing an industrial park. And, yes, that's good. Anybody else, Mr. Panasiaga?
You know, for many years, I've always said that Tucson has a very unfriendly business community. And that was one of the deals with the mayor and also with the city manager. And under no condition, Mr. Dilly, are you apply for being city manager Tucson. But you know, Tucson wants to change their attitude too. They're looking. I think Nogales has always been tentatively business friendly, and we just have to let people know that we're willing to do a lot of things. I mean, I know we've lost call centers simply because they couldn't find, they didn't have the right telephone connections in Nogales. They didn't have something or other, and they decided to go to Douglas, or they decided to go to New Mexico instead of staying in Nogales. All these people did say that they did like Nogales, but they didn't stay. They went somewhere else. So yeah, we have to, and that the mayor has pushed it, that we have to show that Nogales is a very nice community, a clean community. With everything you see on television, all the hurricanes, tornadoes, flooding, and here in Nogales, you know, we're extremely lucky. And I mean, you know, people come down to Nogales, they can work for 365 days a year. You go to the Midwest, or you go to the East Coast, you may be able to work only, you know, 300 days a week or 250 days a week. We just have to get the idea out there so that people understand that. So, but I agree with you, you know, we have to go out there and hustle something to come in here.
You know, the trend is, I had a conversation with Presidente Municipal Hernandez from Nogales, Sonora, and he says that the trend is that a lot of the maquiladora industry, manufacturing, logistics, and all that type, is going to be relocating themselves to the northern borders. And with the developments that they have right now in process in Nogales, Sonora, the numbers that they have projected within the next 7 to 10 years is 250,000 more people in Nogales, Sonora. 250,000 more people is money. We might not grow to those extremes in Nogales, Arizona, but we'll have the people to come and do business with us here. So we need to give opportunity, especially in the area by the border, that there's a possibility of growth with outlets or something, of some type of retail that we can benefit on city sales tax. We should be able to reach out to these people that own these properties and say, you know what, this is one of the incentives we have. And we have to look at, we have to get creative right now. When the economy's bad, we have to get creative. And I think the time is right for us. I don't know why the city didn't start an incentive program many years ago. I think we would have had not only our foot in the door, we'd be in the door right now. But we have to look in that direction, and I know it's going to be a task for legal to find out where we can go with this, Mr. Machado.
Well, I mean, actually, there's no limit. It all depends on your imagination as to what you want us to consider, and then we'll see what we can do.
Well, you have to really push for the port of Nogales. I mean, that's a very important word, right? Port of Nogales, because we are a port.
Yes. Well, you know, the gentleman from Seco, of course, that did the presentation on the funding this evening, he was in Guaymas, and as a matter of fact, he's going back to Guaymas this weekend. That port of Guaymas, that's moving along.
Mm-hmm.
When that hits a line in that deep water port there, it's going to generate some trade to Nogales. And we have to be online. We have to be ready for it. And I know we can do it. I know the city can do it. And I know as a council, I noticed how everybody was working at the Leagues of Cities and Towns as a council. We all represented there. We did a great job, and it's good. We got a lot of good feedback over there, and we can do it as a council.
I think we have to push the port of Guaymas, port of Nogales, port of LA. That's basically what the port would look like.
Anybody else have anything?
I've got one.
Yes, Mr.
You know, that we're thinking about all the businesses, and one of the things that would attract a lot of people, we forget about recreational. Recreational brings people, they keep people happy, and one of the things that we don't do, and we can capitalize on it, is on like baseball, contact. Here's the Chinese buying the Los Angeles Dodgers. Why can't we tap into something like that? Bringing in, we have a beautiful field, put Marcel to work. You know, we have a good baseball field.
One.
Well, that's where you start, on one. And you know, maybe we can get a hold of one of these teams to come and do some training. And not only will they do that, remember we've got Mexico right next to us that they love baseball. And that recreational will bring a lot of revenue into keep our hotels busy. We'll keep our restaurants busy, and we have the hotels for the teams that come down and stay. So it's like you said, get creative. Well, that's one of the best creative tax revenue that we could use and bring fun to the city. And the city needs. Yeah, we need business, but we also need recreational. And on top of the recreational, we can think of the RV that I've been trying to push. That would bring a lot of people in. So basically, those two items will generate.
Thank you very much, Mr. Perez.
Thanks, Mayor. I want to make one comment. The hermanamiento, when we formed the hermanamiento Ambos Nogales, was for the same purpose.
Yes.
To bring recreation, cultural events to Nogales. That would help a lot. And, the president of Nogales the Consulado Mexicano, the consul that is right here. I mean, we're all working towards the same. We want to bring back something to Nogales.
Yes, but whatever benefit we do in either side of the border will benefit both sides, you know, and that's why I mentioned about the two developments in Nogales, Sonora. They're very important because those developments are not only going to have low income but high-end homes, but they're going to have retail and light industrial parks. So that's maquiladora industry. That's what really is moving the machine of El Paso right now. What is? Yes, Vice Mayor.
Not talking about non-cultural organizations. What about the Chamber of Commerce? They seem to be very well connected with a lot of Chamber of Commerce in the state of Arizona. They would help tremendously.
Yes, yes.
They would help tremendously, and they're always looking for something like they mentioned right now that we're already involved in that program. That would be awesome to include them.
Yes, that's part of.
I did on that, I did on that.
Yes, Mr. Parra.
I think that the very important issue is to set up a sign at exit 8, a big sign that says, "Welcome to Nogales, a gateway to Mexico." Something that will identify as good as you come into Tucson. It covers both highways, I mean, both entrances to Nogales. And right on that middle one, that section, we can get ADA to agree on it. That would be ideal to put a sign up there for Nogales. Patagonia's got it, Rio Libra's got it, we don't have anything.
Yeah, well, that's part that we can identify as not only on this but also on the image building program that we have. It's good. It's a good idea. Any more comments?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, go ahead, Mr. Joe.
This is such a healthy dialogue to have, and the timing probably couldn't be better in terms of what we're trying to accomplish as a community. Last February, the council engaged in a council retreat to bring together a corporate strategic plan. One of the concepts in that corporate strategic plan was an economic development component. It makes a lot of sense to use that emphasis to kind of help with the momentum of what we're talking about today. Having a policy in place in terms of an identified economic development incentive program is very important because it'll help us to communicate to the world that we're thinking about how to help them in investing in our community, but it'll also help us all to be consistent in how we're treating, every business that approaches us for that kind of help, which is hugely important. The business world looks to that and sees these communities that have these programs in place and says, hey, they got their act together, they know what they want, they know how they're going to get it, and so this is going to be an important effort. It's probably going to take a lot of dialogue, back and forth. Tonight's just the start of it, but we can start looking at what programs are out there, what incentive programs are out there, start incorporating some of these ideas and concepts, working with legal, and then bring it back for you guys' consideration in terms of an actual program, a policy that staff can implement and we can get behind.
Yes, well, there's two economic development opportunities. One is with Siegel. You met the gentleman today. He runs economic development at Siegel. And then EDF, right? EDA, is it? EDA. We can tap into that too and talk to some of those members and see what we can do and let's work through there.
Absolutely.
So we can get something going.
No sense reinventing the wheel.
Yeah, but there's one thing, really, we need to move on this. We can't, so we can have this policy or this ordinance or resolution, whatever we pass on it, to the point that if somebody contacts the city and goes into our webpage, they can say, you know what, we have an opportunity to talk to the city because there's incentives there, and let's talk about incentives. Incentives can change from one business to the other, because one business can come to you and talk to you as city manager and say, I plan to move to Nogales, what do you have to offer? And then it's up to you to sit down and administer that. Okay? Now we have members of the council? Yes? Okay. So I guess at this point, there's just, there's no action, but it's just direction. Mr. Dilly,
Yes.
start on this and proceed with, so thank you very much. Okay, item number 11, discussion and possible action to direct staff to aid in the development of the Mingus Memorial Site funded by public and private funds. This is another item that I placed on the agenda. It's something that I've talked to different people in the community and talked to some of the members, the board members of the Mingus Committee. This is very important to our community. There's three things that are so important on this. There's great history, number one, because of Camp Little, and he was born here. There's great art, public art, because the plans that I envision is developing this site with public-private funding and with students of the school for the site. And then the third, and which is the most important, is there's great community involvement. And so I talked to Mr. Tittlebaum on this and to Sue about this, Nielsen, and they invited me to one of their board meetings, and I talked to them. I told them, we'll place it on the council meeting on the agenda for the reason is that there's a great location that we have as a city. It's a city property, and actually the property is ideal for this, for the reason that it's located where at one time the gate to Camp Little, to the base, was at, and that's right at the entrance of Western Avenue on Bay Street, and it's a corner where the cemetery is at. And actually the cemetery property cannot even utilize that because there's a catch basin there for water, and there's a manhole, a sewer manhole, which would not interfere with the green area or with the site for the memorial, because it's actually level to the ground, to the same elevation. So I asked Mr. Dooley and Mr. Guerra is going to do a presentation for us, a PowerPoint, and so we get an idea of what I expect. And as soon as we do this presentation, Mr. Machado, then we do a motion or what?
Well, it depends what your motion is going to be.
Okay, I'm just requesting the council to be on board. Okay, is that it? Okay.
Thank
Go
you.
ahead, Mr.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Thank you for this opportunity to prepare this quick presentation. And I apologize for not bringing copies of the presentation with me, but I have the PowerPoint. Hopefully will be enough, but I'm able to provide copies tomorrow if you wish. And also I apologize for we have technical issues with the sound. It doesn't sound very clear. I think we need bigger speakers, but we'll try to. A video is included in this presentation from Charles Mingos, and the intent was to give a little history about this gentleman. Not only the sound, we also.
Just don't apologize when we're done.
That's it.
Take that.
I see you.
We got some good representatives from the Mingus Committee. If you need some help with that, Mr. Guerra. You want me to do that for you?
I'd welcome some help.
Just adds to the suspense.
And this better be good.
In order to recognize them. Yeah, to start.
You guys ever contacted a computer customer service or technical assistance hotline? First thing they tell you to do, is your mouse plugged in? Right? And the next thing, if that doesn't work, have you shut it off and started it again? So we're just following these basic steps. You should have got an apple.
Great location.
Wow.
Great location for
I gotta work in the morning.
Thank you, sir. So, thanks to the request, I learned about Charles Mingus, and I realized that this gentleman had hundreds of records, and he was very famous. He was playing in different countries, and amazing. And I will provide a brief background information from this gentleman. And he was born here in Nogales, Arizona, in the U.S. Army base in April 22nd, 1922. He was raised in Los Angeles. He died in Mexico, Cuernavaca, in 1979 at age 56. And then he played a lot of different instruments, but his main, I guess, was the bass. Occupations, as you see there, composer and band leader. Again, instruments, double bass, piano, and you will see it in the video, playing a couple of instruments. Active from 1943 to 1979, and there is a website that contains a lot of information available, and pictures and videos. I downloaded that picture from that site. So this is the biography. Sorry for the sound.
Raised in the rock section of Los Angeles, Charles Mingus became one of America's most influential composers. He began studying bass at age 16. By 20, he was playing with Louis Armstrong and later Lionel Hampton. In the 50s, he established himself in New York, gigging with Charlie Parker, Miles Davis, Duke Ellington, and others. About this time, he co-founded the Jazz Composers Workshop, where he developed his method of working without scores, shouting instructions to his sidemen during performances. Musically experimental and politically outspoken, Mingus became a controversial figure. Many of his compositions combine music with poetry.
The day when burning sticks and crosses is not their child's play, but a madman who's supposed to hit the desert bloom.
The gospel music he heard growing up had a lasting impact on his music.
features Herman Reinschoten of the New York Philharmonic. In the 60s, he experimented with orchestral settings, recording with 22 instruments on several Ellington-influenced compositions. Minkus never fully realized a classical career because, as he said in his autobiography, Beneath the Underdog, jazz got in the way. Through his recordings, we can still enjoy the brilliant contributions of one of our most respected musicians.
One day they came and they took the colonists, and I said nothing because I was not a colonist. Then one day they came and they took the people to the Jewish state, and I said nothing because I had no faith left. One day they came and they took the Unionists, and I said nothing because I was not a Unionist. One day they burned the Catholic churches, and I said nothing because I was born a Protestant. Then one day they came and they took me. And I didn't say nothing because I was as guilty as they were. I'm not speaking out, saying that all men have a right to freedom.
Thank you. So this is the proposed location. The corner of the cemetery is Western Avenue and Bejarano. So it's visible from Grand Avenue and it's one of the main intersections. Oops, I brought the wrong. But these were pictures from the site. Sorry. So these are the proposed designs. I extracted this from the past design for the entry monuments prepared by a local firm from Tucson. These are different ideas just to how to put a wall in memory of Mr. Charles Mingus. In average, this based on the past experience for the entry monuments, including a survey to ensure that that is a city property, is about $10,000 at the cost of these things, more or less. So I have not prepared a detailed estimate, but it's just based on the past experiences for the entry monuments. These are some of the ideas. I have more, let's say. These are also part. The left side is also part of the original designs by the architects, and the right side was something very straight, just like including a piano and different instruments. But these are just ideas. But of course, during the next steps, we can refine this and select one of the best ideas. And I visited the site, as the mayor was mentioning. We have a catch basin, and also we have a sanitary sewer, but we have plenty of space to locate this wall there.
This seems to be ideal because, for cemetery purposes, we've never utilized that corner anyway. So if the council was desiring to move forward with something like this from an operational standpoint, we could move that fence back and open that corner up to the public, and it would just, it seems to be a fitting use in terms of what you'd like to use it for, if this is the direction that you want to go as a council.
Well, like I said, the most important thing of a project like this is it's public-private, which that's the way of a lot of the public art that's being constructed in a lot of cities to improve their image and to have nice places to look at and stuff, it's done with that. You know, there's money that we can tap into different locations to get the most important thing right now is I'm asking the city council is basically a vote to get the property itself and get the project started and get something there, because it's so important, you know, to acknowledge Charles Mingus, and we should all be proud. He was born in Nogales, and so many people know of it. We don't have anywhere in Nogales to identify that that part of history. Yes, Mr. Tobo. Yes, go ahead. Come on.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Council. My name is Manny Huerta, I live in Nogales, Arizona, 3277 North Calle Villahermosa. In recognition of his accomplishments, he received an honorary degree from Brandeis University, grants from the National Endowment of the Arts, the Smithsonian Institute, the Guggenheim Foundation, and an award from Yale University. He played with such great jazz greats as Louis Armstrong, Charlie Parker, Miles Davis, Randall Hampton, Duke Ellington, and Thelonious Monk. Jazz enthusiasts from around the world come to Nogales expecting to find a Mingus Museum and other permanent tributes honoring Charles Mingus, but to their dismay only find very brief mentioning of him at the Pimenta Historical Museum. There is no mention of Charles Mingus on any name street, I-19 exit, city limits sign, school, auditorium, scholarships, statue, plaque, or busting up platform at the city honoring this world-renowned jazz musician. Establishing this permanent memorial to him would provide a year-round presence that would enhance the Mingus Jazz Festival both to residents and outsiders.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Sue Nielsen, and I live at 1355 East Placito Rebecca, Nogales, Arizona, for 40 years. I wanted to speak a little bit about the activities that the Mingus Project has. We are a nonprofit group, and we do activities all year round. And so this wouldn't be a monument that's just sitting there. This would be something that we've got things that go with. You know, we have mentioned that we do the festival, which we do it around Mingus's birthday, and Mr. T is going to talk about that. But one of our main things is really educating the students in our schools. And we have a really wonderful project coming up, first of all, in September the 23rd, Friday the 23rd. And it's going to be in Sonoyta at the McCone Home. And this is a really amazing piece of architecture that was built in 1960. It came out of the Frank Lloyd Wright workshop out of Taliesin West up in Phoenix. So it's a beautiful 50s, long, low, beautiful windows home that they're giving us for a venue. And then we're going to be having the Sweetwater Springs a group coming out of Phoenix, and they play all different kinds of music. We have wines from all of the wineries in Elgin, and it is a fundraiser for us, and we really would like to encourage you. One of the reasons we're up here, so we'd like to encourage you to come to this event. Go over on the East County. It's from 6 until 8, but some of the restaurants there are giving special menus and deals for you could go and eat after the event. So we also have, and that's a fundraiser for us to put on our festival. We also, every November, we do a special event for all of the jazz bands for the middle schools and the high schools in the county. And this year we're bringing in, it's a group called Sylvan Street, and they to work with the students. They're out of Tucson, and the thing that's really neat about them is they're really focused around the University of Arizona music educators. And the leader of this group is Jay Reese, who is the University of Arizona band director. So they bring these people come in and come to the schools in the county who have jazz bands, and they work with the children for that whole day and help them improve their playing and learn more about jazz and about get their skills better. And then that evening, and this is open to the public, we really would like everybody to come. We go to the Oasis Theater, and we take over their biggest theater, and the high school bands perform, and the Sylvan Street, the guest lecturers also perform. And we sell that theater out, and it's a really fun time, and it's a really great use of the theater. One of the things as we were sitting here is everybody's talking about how important it is to have recreation and have culture and have different things going on in our town that's going to attract people. And I've always thought that Nogales needed a festival. And we've thought about different kinds of festivals we could do, and it probably needs more than one festival. This is one that we've been doing now for 5 years? For 5 years. And it's all based around about that Mingus was here. I was at somebody's house over in Patagonia Estates, and there were people that retired there from the East Coast. And I was talking to them, and I said, yeah, you need to come to our Mingus Festival. And the husband looked at the wife, and he says, they have a Mingus Festival in Nogales, Arizona? Because to them, Mingus is a New York guy. And for them to come here and find something like that going on here, they were just, really amazed. So we'd like to have encourage you to come to both of our events and support us. And like I said, we're doing things all year round that will help enhance this monument that we would like to ask you to support.
Ken Tittlebaugh. Lived here since 1976, 1041 North Duncan Drive in Royal Road. So we're going to elevate the discussion beyond trash, so we're going to come up with it, okay? Anyway, our own Nogales citizens, both past and present, youth and adult, are not aware of the Mingus legacy, and that now it's for all to enjoy. Dedicating this memorial area in his name with permanent historical markers during the April 2012 Mingus Hometown Jazz Festival would elevate the knowledge, pride, and respect of Nogales citizens of our most famous citizen. The annual Charles Mingus Hometown Jazz Festival in April, and this would be his 90th birthday, 2012. It also is the state's 100th birthday, so it's going to be a very special year. Anyway, it can be an economic benefit to the city, increase tourism, become the premier festival for the city, and help our own residents become more aware of the prestige that comes to the city as a result of the birthplace of a famous musician. Although Mingus died in Cuernavaca, Mexico, he did love Mexico. He died in 1979 of ALS, unfortunately, and he went down to, he believed in springs and so forth, and he was down there, and it just didn't cure him. Anyway, his widow, Sue Mingus, and you saw her, the blonde with him, I'm in communication with her. She's in New York City. And she's in charge of the Mingus Big Band, the Mingus Dynasty, and the Mingus Jazz Orchestra in New York City. And that is her website, mingus.com. So you can go on there and find out about us and about her and her work with the big bands. We have a binational festival, and we do this in April. And this year it happens to fall on his birthday, the 22nd. So we're going to go Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It's binational, Friday night, across the line. And we're hoping to bring in a world-class trumpeter. We got some connections, I won't tell you yet, until it's all panned out. Then Saturday, we're out at Loma Linda Shopping Center, high school, college, pro bands are out there. And kids get help because they're getting judged on their performance. So again, we're helping students mature as musicians. Then that evening, a fantastic concert at the James K. Clark Performing Arts Center at Nogales High School. We got Barbara Morrison coming in, and she will just have you laughing and singing and everything. She is terrific. She's from LA. And we have some other guests that evening, and two big bands that evening. And then Sunday, we're at the Splendor Resort for a margarita jazz brunch, and of course music provided. So that's our festival for this year. I think it's most fitting that this beautiful proposed memorial is located in what used to be the entrance to Camp Little, which was many years ago, and where Mingus was born. Creating a memorial for a descendant of the Buffalo Soldiers of Camp Little not only honors the soldiers of Camp Little, but also a musician that became world famous. In light of all the honor and publicity that has been bestowed on Nogales by this great giant, it seems most appropriate for the City Council, Nogales City Council, to build this memorial to Charles Mingus for our students, our adult citizens, and of course, the visitors that come here. So we are behind you all the way, Mr. Mayor and Council, and anything we can do to help. We would love to, if we get it done by the festival, we'll sponsor something there as part of the dedication or any wishes you have, but we can work with you in any way possible. Thank you for your time.
Your question, yes, Stable, are you going to invite Mrs. Mingus for this festival of 2012?
We could do that. Yeah, we also have been in contact with Kevin Mingus, which is his grandson. And Kevin was here in '93. The first festival was held here in 1993, and some of you may remember it. Yvonne Urban sponsored that. She was executive director of the Tucson Jazz Society. So they had things in Nogales, Sonora, Nogales, Arizona, and they had in Green Valley and Tucson. It was huge. Anyway, she has just returned from New York and joined us. And she is a tremendous help on this. But Kevin has been here many times. He's shot footage across the line and on this side. We've had Buck Clark and some other people take Kevin through and shoot footage, because what he's doing is preparing a documentary on his grandfather. And we'd like to present part of that at the festival. So we're working at that. And inviting Sue, the others.
The others.
Yes. Very good idea. Thank you.
Any other questions?
No. Mr. Dooley, do you have anything?
Not by way of questions, just dialogue.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Mr. Go ahead.
So, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, I guess by way of direction and any potential action from the council, I think it would be helpful to start with dedicating the use of that corner of the city property for specific use. Leo might have concern with that. I'm just because and then to maybe get some clarification, Mayor, because you've been more heavily involved with this in terms of the public-private partnership. How do we kind of get moving forward, and who would be the players at the table to make this a success? I mean, it's a wonderful presentation. I'm personally very excited about it. I was in jazz band all the way up through high school, and I just love that stuff. But that was a long time for me. Come on. But it's very exciting. It's very exciting to have that opportunity here in Nogales. And so I really want to make it a success if this is the direction council would like to go, and we need to kind of understand how that's going to play.
Can I, legal, can I get your advice?
Okay, I don't think we can do, the way it's calendared or agenda is, it's the direction to staff to aid in the development of the site and to be funded by public and private funds. That's about as specific as we can get. I don't think we can dedicate any specific property at this point or commit to any amount of funding or anything like that. But I think this gives you enough to direct staff to get going on this and bring back something to you more specific in terms of what type of monument, where specifically, what the cost will be, and so on. And then you can decide at that point.
Okay. And when it comes to the public money itself, which would be the city's part, I was looking at basically the property itself, and then some assistance with the site plan and development part of it. And on the private side, I'm looking to do myself the art piece, the mosaic piece, and then get funding for materials and stuff like that. So that's the direction I envision this going, so.
Well, I think that's exactly the type of direction that would have to be given to staff and Mr. Dilly, so that that idea could be brought to you with a specific package. This is the monument that we're proposing, this is how it's going to be done, this is the funding will come from so-and-so, the city's contribution will be this, your contribution will be this. So something that's specific and you can act on it. But right now, it's just the general idea, if that's what you want, to support the general idea and the steps necessary to bring something to
do we make a motion on that, on directly staff, or just?
Well, actually, you've already directed them. I mean, but if you want to make it more formal, just move to direct the staff to aid in the development of the Mingus Memorial Site. And then with the ideas that everybody's proposed.
Members of the council, is there any discussion? No? Anybody want to make a motion? So move. Second. Okay, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you very much, Mr. Machado. Mr. Dilly. Thank you. Can we take like a little recess?
Well, just at the 14, and then we'll take a recess.
Just guys.
Get to 14 and then we'll take a recess.
Okay, we'll get to that.
This is going to take a long time.
It's the policy one.
It's going to take a long time.
Let's take a little recess. We'll go take a little recess.
I gotta get up early.
Recess, boys and girls. Okay, item number 13. Discussion and possible action direction regarding personnel policy addressing causes for immediate termination. Should we make a motion on this, Mr. Farah, or should we just discuss?
No, we could just go ahead and discuss it. Really, there's no motion to be. The way I understood it was, we want discussion on these items to see exactly what direction, if you want any type of questions answered, clarification, or where to go on these, right?
Yes.
What I want is a policy.
Yeah, Mr. Farah, you want to open up for discussion, sir?
Oh, yeah.
Go ahead.
We're discussing.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, open it.
Yeah. No, what I'm after is a policy. That's what's in here, the contents of this. It's a policy I want from the city.
All right, our current personnel policy actually covers all of these, but not I guess not as severe as you want, or you look in here. For example, on the reporting, having liquor or illegal use of drugs in your system, we have a policy that deals with that. And the violation of that, along with the other policies, is grounds for immediate, not for immediate, but it can be grounds for discipline or dismissal, depending on how serious the offense was or the gravity of the offense. Under our personnel manual, before you administer discipline, you have to take into consideration the nature and extent of the infraction, the employee's past record, and the effect on the operation of the department or the city. And then the person imposing discipline takes those matters into account, and then he opposes the discipline, which can be dismissal if that's what you want. Now, the drug policy that we have is governed by the appropriate discipline depending on the circumstances. It's not a zero tolerance, and I think that's what you were looking for. And that can very easily be converted to a zero tolerance. If that's what the council wants, our policy can be changed or modified so at least for drug offenses, drug or alcohol offenses on the job,
can be basis for immediate termination and without a zero tolerance. That one lends itself to that type of direction. The other ones, I would not recommend a zero policy or zero tolerance on all the other ones. For the reason being that, for example, the theft of city, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm just interested in number one for immediate termination. The other ones are different, we can always not notify rental, but it should be also for immediate termination. Like false reporting on the time card, theft of city property, commission of unsafe practices, insubordination, and all the way down. So
And they can, under our policy, they are, or they can be the basis for immediate termination, depending on how serious the offense is, okay? Let me give you an example. Let's say the false reporting of the time worked, okay? If for some reason somebody cheats a half hour, okay? Versus somebody who's cheating a month, somehow figured out a month, a way to do it for a whole month. You know, you gotta treat those differently, depending on the employee, depending on how long he's been here, and so on and so forth. And our policy allows that. You treat each offense differently, depending on how serious it is, and depending on the employee.
Go ahead, Mr. Parra. We've gone through that. We have had people that have cheated on their time clock. We've had people that have been caught stealing. We've had people that have been caught, for all these things, and it seems an impossibility to be able to fire them.
No, it's not impossible to fire. I mean, just the proper steps have to be taken in order to impose the proper discipline.
In some cases, they even get promoted. Why? That's why I'm going to a strong cause of termination. That's why I want these policies to be strong enough, so we don't have those around the table with things going on.
But we have the policy right now that would allow you to be terminated, allow somebody to be terminated, but it all depends on the supervisor. It's the supervisor who has to make that decision, and it's the supervisor who has to take the proper steps in order to get to that point.
But what are the proper steps?
Well, it all depends on the specific situation. But number one, you've got to have, again, it's so broad, I can tell you generally, you've got to have personnel evaluations, you've got to have documentation, you can't just say you've got to have proof.
If he's falling all over the place?
Pardon me?
If he's falling all over the place and he smells like alcohol, he walks like a duck, he talks like a duck, he looks like a duck, So basically, I think what Councilman Parra is trying to say, Mr. Machado, that I think it's too lax the way you've been, there's people that have been caught drinking drugs and all that, and they've got a slap in the hand, or, like you said, promoted to supervisor.
I don't know any of those specifics that you're mentioning. I have no idea what may have occurred in any of those instances. But again, the policy that we have allows you to discipline people and even terminate people. If the supervisors are not doing that, and assuming the examples that you're giving are true, and somebody was not disciplined, then maybe the supervisors aren't doing their job. But the policy itself that you have enacted, the council previously, is there.
Go ahead, Mr. Dean. I just want to air what I can see being a possible frustration. Our policy as it exists today, particularly Chapter 18 that talks about disciplinary action and how the steps that we have to go through in order to achieve discipline, really is centered around what's called progressive discipline. Okay? Mr. Machado made reference, about circumstantial, evidence, things like that. But he also mentioned performance evaluations, things that have been documented in the employee file. If an employee has has made an infraction, you have to weigh the infraction. You also have to look to see if that employee has had past infractions, and it all has to mount up to separation under our existing policy. I can tell you that there have been efforts to take certain disciplinary action, but because there haven't been every single step followed, or there hasn't been a history of these types of infractions that would build up to what we want to do. Part of our effort, part of this policy is also, it also represents the interests of the employee as well. These policies do both. They represent the interests of management. They represent the interests of the employee, and the EEOC group. If we're not doing the right steps in terms of making sure that we're representing their interest as well in the disciplinary action that we're trying to follow, the city could get in trouble for not taking the right steps. Now, it really is based off of the policy. So if we want to change policy, I think that's what we're here to do tonight, or at least to discuss. But as it sits today, the policy is drafted that it's progressional. The example that Mr. Machado brought up, if somebody cheats on a half an hour, but you look back in their record, their personnel file, and they haven't had any kind of infraction, they've been to work on time, they haven't had another instance like that, to try to terminate that employee probably is not an appropriate thing to do. Which, under this policy is what I'm saying, under this policy, because it's built off of progression, and then, but if you find an employee that has been stealing from the city for years, that's a different thing. That's not just a half an hour. That could be kind of to the employee's defense, that could have been a clerical error in how you represent it, because we don't have the punch clocks. Okay, so I'm just trying to take the advocate role on this. That's a different situation if somebody's been stealing for a year. That's a much graver type of infraction, and perhaps that in the eyes, as we look at it as the city attorney's office and the city manager's office, would clearly justify termination without having to look back on other instances. So you have to weigh the infraction, but then you have to, based off of this policy, you have to look at whether or not we've taken appropriate progressive steps to lead up to termination, if that's what's being considered.
One of the things that I see, like on the misuse of vehicles, and to me, misuse of a vehicle is in a way stealing, because you're using a city vehicle, you're using city gasoline, and you're using city time as an employee to take, and I'm talking about every department, because I've seen it. Take children to school, take the wife shopping, go park at a store, go inside shopping. I've seen the fire truck in front of Home Depot. What are they doing in there? I don't know, but when I'm in there doing my business, I'm looking and walking around the store. They're not inspecting the building. They're shopping or maybe looking for something for later on to buy. To me, that's stealing, because you should be at the station. You should be doing your job. So who's going to look at these people? What supervisor? Who's going to? Do I come back and report it to you and tell you, Mr. Jelly, I just saw a police officer drop off their kids at school. This is the plate of the car. Are you automatically going to give that one a verbal reprimand or a written reprimand? No, because it's not my job. But who's going to do that? So there's got to be something there, and I don't know if the staff is not doing it or who's doing it, but they're failing.
Well, we're talking about two things here. We really are. I mean, there's the act of the employee themselves, and that's where this policy comes into place. And then we're talking about a supervisory issue, which is something a little different than this, but also can be applied to this as well. But I just want, we are talking about two different issues here.
Well, then the supervisor might have to be fired.
That's right.
Right? I mean, if he can't do his job, what is he doing as a supervisor?
Again, based off of this policy, it would be progressive.
Well, yeah, that's part of the supervisor's job. If he can't handle it, he doesn't belong there.
Totally agree.
If you show this policy at the time somebody is employed, you say, hey, here's your policy, but
And they all have that when they're employed.
you break
they have
it, you're out of a job.
I see an employee from Public Works every morning going to pick up another co-worker every single day, every morning, drops him off when they're done. In the afternoon, this has been going on for years,
In terms of a community, in terms of a community, it is our community. I live here, we all live here, and we have a responsibility to be eyes on the street, okay? It's gonna be helpful, Mrs. Vice Mayor, it's gonna be helpful for you to give that call to me if you see something. I would expect that from anybody, because what that does for me is it helps me to go back to the supervisor and deal with that.
No.
Okay, I can't see what a supervisor is not seeing all the time. And so, Mayor, when you ask, well, should I contact you? I don't want to say no, because we all have, this is our community. We all have a responsibility, and if we want to make positive change, it's going to take all of us, and you have to know that I'm sitting here as a resource to try to help make that change. But I can't do it myself in terms of be out there watching every single supervisor, every single manager on the street. That's not realistic. But if you see something, report it. And I'd like to know how many times an incident has been actually reported to me from you that I actually haven't tried to follow up on.
That's not the problem. I mean,
No, I know your issue isn't with
we can tell you whatever. I'll give you an example. One time, after we had been in the city council, we discussed nobody is supposed to be giving anybody rides in the police cars. That was discussed.
Yes.
What?
You're not supposed to.
This is before you.
Yes.
Just before you, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, no one is supposed to be giving rides in the police car. This is not a taxi service, okay? So I'm at a meeting and I see a policeman come around. This is after the policy had been discussed here. He has somebody in the car. He took him to Burger King or to Jack in the Box to buy food. He buys the food. He goes, gives her a ride back to her store or her place of work. I immediately called, and I said, what is the policeman doing giving rides? Oh, we'll take care of it. They supposedly talked to this gentleman, this policeman, they talked to him. A week later, I'm back in the same place. 1 week later, after supposedly they had talked to him.
And you see it again.
Exactly the same thing again. I called, and I said, he has to be fired. He has to be fired. If he was advised about it, and he's still doing it, he has no regards at all for whoever told him that. So he has no regards for the city, right? I decided I'm not going to be checking it. This is not my job. But everybody here can tell you the same story, exactly the same story, and we still end up in the same location. I mean, I've seen cars up at the cemetery, and they're there with a girlfriend. Everybody has seen that. I've reported it, and nothing happens.
Councilman Hennessy, respectfully, I would appreciate it if I didn't get painted with that particular brush.
No, you're not. This is obviously before, but it's still even now. I mean, I don't want to say even now, but I mean, we just had a situation where somebody was using the truck for the city.
Yes.
And again, everybody will claim this is the first time I've ever done it. I've never heard of somebody saying this is the 83rd time I've done this. Nobody's ever said that, Mr. Machado, as a lawyer. Have you ever heard that?
No, obviously, but you can't dismiss for every single violation.
No, but
Okay.
for drug abuse or illegal this, or if if everybody understands you're not supposed to be giving anybody a ride in the car. It's supposed to be understood, right? If everybody understands that, and here you see, like they said, somebody dropping off children, somebody picking up their friends, somebody this, maybe in something like that, it's not the end of the world. Maybe they're given one letter and they're saying, if this ever happens again, you will be automatically fired.
Well, that's what's provided for in the
Well,
policy.
I've never seen, has anybody ever been fired?
Well, I'm sure they have, yes,
Name
yes, they
one.
have.
I don't know
Well,
anybody.
we can't, that's,
I've been here too, going to 3
but
years.
yeah,
Been promoted. Been promoted.
It's, again, the policy is there. And in my opinion, the policy is, they're good policies. If you want to change the drug policy to make it zero tolerance,
Right.
that's fine. That's a
How about the
decision.
liquor? Can we go to zero?
Drug alcohol.
Drug alcohol.
I understand that. And that is something that can be very easily converted to a zero tolerance. Okay? But the other instances, I don't think that legally you can make one offense a fireable offense.
Theft of city property?
All right, say I take a pencil. Are you gonna fire me? If somebody with a city phone takes a personal call, that's theft, it's misuse of city property. Are you gonna fire that person? You know, that's what I mean. You can't, not all of the offenses are subject to immediate dismissal.
Mr. Machado, but if somebody takes a dump truck full of materials that doesn't belong to him in a city vehicle to the recycle plant, is that a fireable offense?
It could be. It could be. It very well could be. Depending on how serious it is, the employee's record and all that stuff, yes, it can very absolutely be a fireable offense.
Yeah, because they used equipment, they used city time, they stole the material from another state agency and took it to the recycle plant. Why did something, no, but no, I'm serious. Why, was that a letter of reprimand?
No, let me tell you.
It was not a letter of reprimand.
There was nothing.
There was something done. But there was some of those instances that are reported with all these facts 1 through 10, when we do the investigation, those facts can't come out. People don't want to say, the people don't want to get their name involved. So it's very difficult. It's very difficult.
Can I ask the count? I mean, the goal, right? The goal is that it stops.
Yes.
Right? The goal is that it stops.
But like Mr. Parra said, on the drugs, it's zero tolerance.
I got it.
That's gotta be zero.
But either way, even if it's zero tolerance, the goal is that it never happens, right? I mean, we just flat out don't want anything, whether it's stealing or it's drugs or whatever. We just don't want it. Okay? It's come up a couple of times. This instance about misuse of public vehicles, okay, and the sanitation particularly in terms of the recycle. Okay, I can assure you that our goal is going to be met, because if it happens again, we've documented it, we have it in place, and there's termination. We took every step possible that we could under this policy, in my opinion, to correct the issue and to deal with it. If that meant that we couldn't terminate, well, we couldn't terminate, but it was done because, one, we don't want to get into a lawsuit situation and cause more damage and more harm to our community that way. But the goal is that it stops. If it happens again, we've built a case and there's something in the file and we can now successfully terminate. Our goal is that it stops. I'm hearing from the council you share that same goal. We don't want it to happen. And that's what we're trying to accomplish.
I'm trying to accomplish a policy.
Yes.
That's right here. Not going around in circles. Theft of city property, I mean, that should be automatically out of here.
Of all property, Widow?
The theft of city, of anything that belongs to the city that's stolen.
Would that mean a pencil?
No, it could be a car, it could be a metal again, so far.
A pencil?
But it could be a pen, right? Or a pencil.
Well, so you see, what you say,
no, that's what
we need is a priest in here, so he can tell us what you can sin, a little sin like this, okay. But there, it's all right. It's all right, that's what you're getting at. Okay, so what you're getting at, so, and I'm getting into the higher stuff. I'm going with the petty stuff. If it's petty, it's all right, but if it's bigger, it should be out.
But how do we write that? How do we write that as a policy?
Anything,
do we
dollar amount.
No, well, do we say theft of a car is you're going to fire him, but the theft of the following items are
It's a misdemeanor. It's either a misdemeanor or a felony.
It's kind of like felony shoplifting.
It's already
under
written.
$100
That's
is
already been
misdemeanor.
written.
Above $100 is a felony.
Mr. Machado, what's the difference between a misdemeanor and a felony on a theft?
Okay, Well, no, it's not just merely a dollar amount. There's more factors involved in making that
But
determination.
remember, Mr. Machado, there's pens that cost $100.
Well, that's true, it's true, that's true, that's true. But the point I'm trying to make is, you know, how do we list what you can fire and what you can't fire for?
Well,
That's all I'm
it
saying.
could be just common sense, Joe. You're not gonna fire a guy for taking a bottle of water.
Okay,
But you can fire for taking a car, a police car and selling it. You know, or go get a material and selling it. I mean, that's common sense. I mean, I know you're trying to get to a point, hey, you know, you got to specify this. I don't think so. But I think a policy like this is strong enough. They will put their things on their mind, you know, to start off with, what not to do.
But we have that though.
But it's not working.
It's not working, it's
Okay,
not
but
good.
but don't criticize the policy, criticize the implementation of the policy.
And the policy also.
Well, but the policy, you want a common sense policy, that's what we have. It depends on the circumstance, it depends on the offense, and then you determine what the
Well, they start
discipline.
changing it, they start changing it. This, modify all this, it's in here, that's needed.
First, obviously, the first is the drug and alcohol. Zero tolerance.
And, you
Zero,
know, that's
anybody
okay.
drinking on the job, goodbye, you know, go over the, you know, have a bar, go to a bar, why hang around?
Legally, that's not a problem, and if that's what the city's directing us, we'll all work a policy to make it zero tolerance for the drug and alcohol. That's not a problem, you know. It's the other ones that I'm having a problem with, because I don't know, I'll do what you want,
Yeah,
but I don't know how to specify
Okay.
what is and what isn't fireable. And you
So that, okay, you can do this, false report on the time card. You can put it in another wording, if you do not work a full day and you get paid for it, like it's happened in the past. There was a lot of overtime on a Saturday, you guys weren't even there, and got paid for the day.
Okay.
Okay?
Using
I mean,
that as
I'm
an
not talking
example,
about half
okay.
an hour. Half an hour is dropping a bucket.
Okay.
But I'm talking,
Okay, but that's an example, okay? Under our policy, the guy who did a half hour, the supervisor can discipline him, you know, however he wants. He can give him a reprimand, suspension, or he can even dismiss him for a half hour, depending on how he has documented it before. If a guy is cheating on 2-3 weeks, like you say, he's been doing it all the time, the first time they catch him for that, that's possible to dismiss him on that. That's permissible under this policy. But you've got to rely on your supervisors to implement this policy.
okay?
And we all know.
We're like hamsters, we're just going in circles, because it doesn't work.
Well, the supervisors have to know immediately, if somebody, when it's on his, when he's there, if someone there has been doing this and he didn't see it, doesn't belong there, he goes too, right? I mean, then maybe he'll wise up. I mean, I've seen this done constantly, where somebody tells somebody, I have to report it because it's my job, it's gonna be gone.
That's right.
And I can't afford to lose my job. Why don't we have that attitude? Basically, the attitude is, I guess, covered up or whatever, right? But we have to get to the point where the attitude is, you're doing something wrong, I gotta report you. I can't let it go.
Excuse me, but I honestly think, like Mr. Dilly said, don't paint him and us, the whole administration right now, with that brush. There's a lot of stuff that has happened in the past
Yes.
that has not been documented and cannot be used for a basis of discipline now. You know, I honestly think the supervisors at this point and Mr. Dilly have started documenting things in order to get to the point where we can take severe discipline if necessary. But up to this point, it's not the policy that's been holding us back, it's the documentation that has not occurred in the past.
I can't tell you how frustrating it's been when an infraction occurs and I go back and I say, okay, well, let's take care of it. Let's pull out the file, and I open up the file and there's nothing. There's no, you know, there's no performance evaluations, there's no documentation of having problems. And when I get to that point, a lot of times my hands are tied in terms of what we can do because nothing in the past has been documented. So my best effort is to make sure that we appropriately document and we take the strictest disciplinary action that we can to send a clear message that it's unacceptable and we can't be doing it in the future. And what I've done for this organization is I've prepared us to be able to take that step of dismissal if the action continues. And that had not been done in the past. I can't talk to past administrations, but I can talk to what's happening today. And when these things happen, when I get a report of property being stolen or things aren't right, and I can document it, I get a license plate, I get a time and date, I get a name, I follow up on those things and I try to take the action that I can. But I can't be held responsible, neither can this staff today, for what's happened in the past. You're going to have to understand that we're taking steps now to document that puts us in a much better position to terminate if the infraction calls for that. And that hadn't been done up until now, as far as I can tell.
Mr. Machado, can you jump from a no reprimand to suspension?
Yes, absolutely. And sometimes I don't even do an oral. Sometimes I just do a suspension because the infraction calls for it.
Yeah.
It's the dismissal.
It's the level.
It's the dismissal that really causes us problems.
Severity of it, right?
Right. But we've taken all sorts of
Because if you go from a oral reprimand to a suspension, next time is termination.
Absolutely.
See or no?
Yeah. And so sometimes I'm doing the suspension without doing a lot of the other stuff because the message I'm sending is if this happens again, you're out. But that's as much as I can do under this existing policy because the past actions of administration haven't appropriately documented these things over time. You may have seen it. They may have happened. And the very frustrating thing for me is hearing this and not being able to do anything because it hasn't been documented in the past. We have to start now. If you see something, please give me a call and let me know. But I need to have facts. I need to have on this date and time. If you know the employee by name, I need to know a name. Give me a license plate. Do something to help me. And I tell the residents this when they call me. What can you help me with? Because I promise I'll follow up with this and make sure that it gets taken care of.
Mr. Dilly?
Yes, sir.
Do we have a whistleblower in our policy, in the city policy? Joseph, we have it.
Yes.
Okay. Write a memo to all the employees that they are protected under whistleblowers policy. They have full protection. And make it in big letters so they can really not be afraid.
Okay.
And I think you should get on the supervisors too, because it's not only the employees. They do it because they get away with it, because they are being ignored by the supervisors. They're covering up for them. So if the supervisors get the message, then the employees will get the message too.
I totally agree. Thank you.
But in the meantime, we gotta go to zero tolerance on drug and alcohol.
Right.
That come up with a policy on that immediately.
Is there any room for improvement on our policy, Mayor Joe?
Sure, there's always room for improvement.
Okay.
And
Because, I know legally I understand what you're thinking about, and you're talking about the legal aspect of it. But is there something there that because of what Mr. Parra has mentioned and the dialogue that we had here, that you can think of, that you can say, you know what, maybe there is something I can do in this area, and the theft area, and areas like that, because if there's something we can do, maybe we should sit down and revisit, and it's kind of like the Arizona revised statutes. They're revised every year. It depends who goes into office.
We have to put stronger language.
If you see that some continuous habit is, you have to revise it because there's no action being taken on that habit.
I could put in stronger language in the personnel manual that certain activities will be presumed to be treated more seriously. Like, for example, theft. We'll go to theft, the misuse of vehicles, or misuse of property, the most obvious. If that's what you want, I can put in some type of provision in there to make it clear that violations of that nature may be subject to more discipline or severe discipline starting from the inception. And then and I could do that.
And then what I'll do in terms of follow-up, when we get those policies developed, I will attach to it this memo on the whistleblower stuff, and we can just send it all out in a package form to all of our employees, so that they have the updates and they also understand that there's a protection in place for whistleblowing.
Not to be afraid, that's what
But
So,
at one of your meetings, that all the employees should be advised. They should be given the packet and advised, and if they can't understand it, make sure that, I don't know whoever is in charge of that department or whatever, that they understand exactly. Because in most places you go and they have no idea.
Yes.
Members of the council, is that the direction?
Yes.
Okay, so I'll look specifically at theft, misuse of property, of city property, and, well, the drug and alcohol will be the zero policy, but the use of vehicles, misuse of property, including vehicles. Is there any other area? that you
Zero
want-
tolerance on liquor and alcohol.
I got that. Any other area that you want me to emphasize?
Chronic lateness,
That's
that
the
was policy.
Yeah. But the other emphasis, any other?
The use of city property and equipment for the personal use.
That would be under misuse of the property.
Yes.
How about, when you hire a person and you give him, he gets paid for that position, a good salary, and that's another job?
No, that's another.
No, I mean, that could be on a,
Well, that's actually one of the.
not being able to
bases.
do the work and
That's-
he's getting paid for it.
That's one of the bases for discipline, is your incompetency. If you can't do your job. Again, that's up to the supervisor. He has to do his evaluation to prove that he can't do the job. And that would be a basis for
And who
discussion.
does the evaluation of the supervisors?
City manager.
What supervisors are you talking about?
All of them, whoever they are.
Over the course of this year, every department head either has or will receive a performance evaluation.
Good.
In that performance evaluation, one of the ratings is whether or not they're doing performance evaluations on their direct reports. And so I always check with HR, and I say, has this department head been doing their performance evaluations? And then I score them accordingly. Obviously, sending the message that they need to be doing their performance evaluations. And when they do their performance evaluations on their supervisors, one of the questions is that supervisor doing performance evaluations on people that report to them? So it's just gonna kind of trickle down through.
It's a year evaluation or
It's an
6 months?
annual evaluation.
You know, Mr. Parada, I've been around the city, I go and I come, and I've been around a while. And I'll be honest to tell you that this is the first time under Mr. Dilly that I have seen, I mean, I've been an advocate of this forever, to document and do evaluations and do discipline, and it's never occurred until now. Now I see evaluations of supervisors, department heads, I see disciplinary action being taken, not to the degree that we should maybe, but now we're documenting things, supervisors are being instructed as to how to do things. It really has improved.
But Mr. Mayor, this was brought up before. This was brought up, 3 years ago. This was brought up 4 years ago. This was brought up constantly about that, and we told them we need to have evaluations.
But
Okay.
But
nothing ever happened.
It started, no sir, it started when this was brought up a long time ago, and when Mr. Dilly came in, one of the first things that we talked about was the need for performance evaluations or the lack thereof, and we started immediately doing that.
When you interviewed me as a council, that was one of the issues. I remember sitting right here in front of all of you, and that was one of the issues about who you wanted as a future city manager, to make sure that performance evaluations were getting done. One of the first things I did with my department heads, when I met with them after I was hired, is I told them all. I told all of them, I'm doing performance evaluations. I'm gonna 360 degree all of you guys to death, and I'm gonna give you a performance evaluation. And you're expected to do that with your direct reports and their direct reports and so on and so forth. So our whole organization will be doing this. Why? Because when there's an infraction, you want to be able to go back to that document and see, hey, this person's had a trend problem, and that helps us escalate the type of disciplinary action that we can do with them. It's happening, but this is a big organization, small rudder, and it's not going to be overnight that we accomplish this.
And who evaluates Mr. Dilly?
The council, we haven't done it. I can distinctly remember one.
I think he needs one.
And again, you know, I don't mean to imply at all that everything that should be done has been done, or that has been done quickly enough. You know, everything can be done quicker, and it's really frustrating when we come across something that we can't do something because something hasn't been done. But
Mr. Mayor, part of the problem is, since we see things being done, we want more. Before we could get a crumb and we would settle for it. But now when we see things being done, like I says, we really want to get the whole enchilada.
No, you want
We're not
butter
waiting for it. We want everything, baby. So.
So no, but
it's true. And I'll give you an example. Where's Aaron here? I'll give you an example. You're absolutely right. The presentation that was given to us today regarding all the routes and so on, you know, in my opinion, that was excellent. I've never seen something like that done as professional as it was. Now you're spoiled. The next presentation has to be better, and the next department head that comes up has to be better than that. But that's what you want. That's what you want.
And I'm glad that a lot of the directors are here, so that you can all do good presentations. Look at Mr. Guerra. How many times did he apologize today? 4 or 5 times. But well, so that's the direction we're going to do, Mr. Parada. Yes. So we don't need a motion on this with this direction.
Does that mean you want it done right away?
Yes. Yesterday.
You're not done yet?
Yeah. We'll get that done as soon as possible.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. So that's all, Mr. Machado, on this? Yes. Okay. Item number 14, discussion and possible action regarding city funding and support for Fiestas Patrias event. Ms.
Yes,
would you like to-
yes, I requested in-kind service for 10 tents, 2 portable toilets, and 100 chairs. The total of these 3 requests is $552.
$152.
I just wanna, just for your information, the people that were involved in this event is for the city of Nogales, for the citizens of Nogales, and it's free of charge. It's the Mexican Consulado, the Nogales Unified School District, the Hermanamiento, the Nogales International, the Cultural Center, and the Board of Supervisors waived us the Health Department permit. Yeah, so they're also part of the event.
Okay, thank you very much. Well, I'm, as the mayor of the city of Nogales, I support your events, and I've always supported, and I think events for our community are very good community involvement, and it's always been something that I strive for, and it's important for our community. And I myself support you on this.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor?
Go ahead.
I also go, that soon Elsa left. Well, anyway, I agree with her where she says that we need to have these programs. And she said it's not one, we need several. And every one of these programs will bring something to Nogales. And hopefully when you get somebody might say, this is a nice community, maybe I'll move down here. Right? And because we need to have 10,000 more people living in Nogales. For us to be viable, we need 32,000 people in the city of Nogales. And then we can have a really great community. And we need for people to see what is down here. And this is the only way we're going to get them down here.
Anybody else? Mr. Guerra?
We invading the private sector. They have their own business by renting tents, the chairs, and so forth. Because of the economy, and we invading their business.
Well, actually, Mr. Parada, the tents that were bought back when I was in public works. Over 10 years ago.
Probably the worst mistake.
No, no, they were bought for events. They were bought all for events. And back then, they used them in every event. And it actually started with 4th of July. That was the original intent. And then from there, it just escalated to the events. But I mean, I don't see the tents an issue here. I think the issue here is we should be part of events in the city. This is our culture. This is our way of life. I mean, why are we going to ignore these things? I don't know. But I mean, I know if we have we did some categories on this type of issue, on ordinance, and in the past, it's been brought to council, and it's been accepted to use this same not the exact policy, but to amend it to be able to use it in other events. And it's our duty, it's our right as councilmen, and that we can do this if we choose to.
Isn't it the right of the Mexican Council to do it themselves? I mean, isn't it part of their duty to do it?
Yeah, we're in
Or are they going to fund some money for this? I'd like to see a report, you know, how much money.
Well, you know, it's not the Mexican Council doing it. It's actually one of our council persons doing it. But in conjunction with the Mexican consulate, the county supervisors, they waive the health permit, which is a big cost, because if you have 10 food courts there, and at $75 a pop, they're giving up some of their funds also for the community involvement. So you know, you shouldn't look at it as a Mexican consulate event or a Mexican event. You should look at it as a Nogales, Arizona event, and something that in the past we've always done it, except that the tent issue has come up so many times that I don't know why this continues to come up, but I know we have that policy, and that's why it was brought to City Council, because Mr. Dilly wasn't in the position to make that decision, even though there's a $1,000 limit there, but he didn't want to make the decision on the tents.
But we
Yes.
have
A while back, I was asked by the Sacred Heart Church if we could lend them some tents and this and that, and I said, no, we have a policy, we can't lend them. So automatically I said, no, but why? In fact, it was Mr. Velasquez that asked from his
In the same token, Mayor, remember that softball tournament that was brought over here? And there we are, I donated to rent a tent that cost $150. Why? Because we have a policy.
But,
and they brought 18 teams down here. They brought, recreational for Nogales, but unfortunately we had a policy that we couldn't break. So we ate it up, and I donated money for that.
No, I understand, but if you remember, Mr. Felix, I did get the tents for you. You just didn't want it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But
why? Because we had a policy, and I didn't want to break the policy.
But you asked me for the tents, Mr.
No,
Felix.
I said, can we get the tents? He said, yeah, we can get them. And then I figured, no, we have a policy, we can't break the policy.
Okay. Well, that's all right.
May I say
Go
something?
ahead.
This event is free of charge. Okay, all the other events, if it's your event, I don't know if it was, if it was funded for somebody else or maybe the schools or whatever. This is a free event, and it's for the citizens of Nogales.
Well, this, isn't that, let's just go for a motion. We make a motion on this first? Is there a motion?
I have a question. The $552, is that over the 1,000 income you're allowed?
No, sir.
No.
So you're within the parameters?
Yeah, originally
Go ahead.
Originally, I sent a letter July 19 requesting the tents, the portable potties, the trash receptacles, one electrician, and the police officers, and the 100 shares. The total is $992. Then I got a response that, according to the policy, they can only allow the 416, that would be the trash receptacles, the electrician, and the police officers. And I needed to bring the rest, that would be the tents, the portable, and the shares for your approval. So the total of everything would be $992.
So you're within $1,000?
Yeah.
Is that includes the in-kind service, the labor, or the split up with the city?
Everything, yes, sir.
I need to jump in here. It's not a $1,000 issue. That's not what this is about. What it's about is the policy that was adopted under definition of in-kind support. Is that what?
In-kind support or services.
Or support services or whatever. It specifically rules out these particular things for use other than in Category A events. So the use of the tents, chairs, property, city property we can only use those in category A events. If it's having a police officer or the police department involved in supporting something, then it can fall into, or we need to put barricades up to close a road down or something, it can fall into a category B, C, or D event. And that's where the $1,000 threshold really plays out. But in terms of utilizing tents and some of these other properties like the chairs and the porta-johns and things like that, those are reserved strictly under category A events. And so it really wasn't the $1,000 threshold that was kind of binding in my hands. It was this policy that specifically identified that for category A. I think if we're going to go down this direction, what we're really saying is kind of like how we're handling some of the other category A events. If we wanted to use the tents and the chairs and the porta-johns and whatever else we need to support the event in September, we're basically designating it as a category A type event. It qualifies in terms of being a community-wide event. It's not specific to any one specific category. It's really open to everybody. So it really is the council's discretion on how you move forward.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, go ahead, Ms. Mayor.
Mr. Coppola's mom needed a tent for her kids. They were having an event, and it was so hot, and they couldn't get it from the city. You remember that, sir?
Yes,
I
ma'am.
paid for them because it couldn't be loaned, so.
The loaning of a tent created other problems. Those tents aren't like the little 10 by 10 pop-up tents that you get at Costco. We were concerned at the time, and this was before the policy that was adopted, before your policy. But at the time, loaning the tents out, we were concerned about people trying to put those tents together and actually injuring themselves in putting those together, which was a big reason for that, Mrs. Weissman.
Yes.
You know what? Can we do the same in Mexico? Can we go to Mexico City? We're going to celebrate the 4th of July, because we have a lot of Americans living in San Carlos there, so we want to celebrate it the 4th of July. You think they will let you do that?
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Mr. Parada, remember that they celebrated the 4th of July and you were there?
The 4th of July, yeah.
You know, Nogales, Sonora.
And was that a big festival?
Yeah, it was, the Consul Dickerman was the one that celebrated the 4th of July. You know,
Can
Nogales, Sonora.
we do it as for their tents and so forth, things like that?
Let's try it, yes.
But I think we're stepping over bounds. This is not, has nothing to do with Nogales, Sonora asking for the tents. This is a city councilman asking for the tents. Yes, Mr.
So if we do this, then we'll have to do it for everybody, right?
No.
No, you do it at a request.
So,
Mr. Mayor.
Yes,
And Joe, I don't know if you have any thoughts on that, but I think the policy, I wish I had it in front of me, I don't, but I think the policy tries to define what a community-wide event is in terms of being category A. Okay? There's a lot of events that happen that are good events, but they don't seem to quite match that category A quality in terms of an event, where it truly is geared to to be open to any age, any gender, anybody that we have in the city of Nogales. Really is a category A type of event. And so, in answer to your question is, if there's those kind of events that come forward to council, by all means, you would consider whether or not you wanted that to be termed a category A event or not. But I don't think all events qualify for category A.
Mr. Dillon, that softball tournament that I was telling you was a 3-day event.
Yes, sir.
And it fits every category like you're talking about. It fits everybody. Any kid can go sit down and watch a softball game with parents, with mother and whatever. And they fit that category that you're talking about.
This event happened before we adopted
No,
this.
it didn't happen before. It happened after that we already stated that new policy. That's why I told them, you know what, thank you, but thank you. I appreciated it, but I didn't want to break the policy. One, but again, it's a 3-day event. And it's, like I said, it's free of charge, nobody gets charged to go in to watch the games. And there's food, obviously, they have to pay for the food. But in those 3 days, we had kids, you were there.
I was there.
We had kids, we had all sorts of people coming in and out. And again, I appreciated what the mayor did, but I just couldn't raise the policy.
So I don't believe that the policy allows me to designate what is a category A event.
It's in the budget.
It has to be something that is identified on an annual basis within the budget document. So I think it's pretty specific that way. And so on an annual basis, this council would consider what events they would like to have identified as category A events. And we would make sure that that's wrapped into the budget document. And the whole purpose behind that is because originally we wanted to get our arms around this. We understand that category A events, any of these special events, require in-kind support. And in-kind support, although we're paying a bill anyway on our payroll, it costs the city, because if they're not doing their jobs and they're doing this, then there's a tangible cost to that. So that was the impetus for the policy originally. And so the more items that we have in category A, the bigger that issue becomes again. So I think it requires the council to think about what events you really want to have as category A, knowing that there's going to be some events that are in B, C, and D.
I got a question for you. We went through it one time with you here in study session. If we said category A, all American national holidays, period.
Yes, sir.
That's what we said.
And that's what's in the budget this year.
Right, that's what we said. Now you want to move things around?
No, I don't want to move things around.
Do we have a policy or don't we don't have a policy?
This is coming forward because a council member made a request. That's why it's on the agenda before you. And the council has the ability to consider these things throughout the course of the year. I mean, that's just, and that's all.
Basically, what we're asking is for it to become a category A. That's what we're saying, basically, right? Or that's what's being requested.
National holidays of our country is category A.
Well, let's move on this.
It's basically not a point of patriotism. We're basically saying, what is best for the city of Nogales? Is it best for the city of Nogales to have people down here for different, the Charles Mingus deal, for the different things? Is it good for the city of Nogales? If the question is yes, it's good for the city of Nogales, I don't care if it's an American holiday or not. Those are good for it, but everybody's got them. Doesn't everybody have a 4th of July? I think everybody's got a 4th of July, and I'm not saying that they shouldn't, but all I'm saying is, should we have other participate in other exhibits or whatever you want in Nogales? I think we should. It does good for the city. It brings people to the city. It shows off the city. That's all we're discussing. The baseball deal, I don't know. Is it a yearly deal, Mr. Felix?
Yes.
If it's a yearly deal, do they charge to go and watch the games?
No.
Well, maybe then we should consider that also category A. It's bring it up for next year, then we consider it as a category A. I would have no problems considering it as a category A, right? As long as it's something good for the community and it's bringing people in, it's showing off the people in the community, I see no problem.
Well, I don't think it should be just the community, bringing in people from the community. The disabled kids should be recognized too, especially our kids here. Mrs. Coppola has always worked with those disabled kids, and for them to be denied the tent, it's not fair either. So if that's the way we're going to go, let's go with that too. And that's an annual event every year. She does this.
Maybe we got to change the policy completely then.
Whatever.
You know, the policy was brought in very rashly, so maybe we got to change it completely.
Originally, that was the case, but this policy that you recently adopted was mulled over pretty good by the council.
You know what we're doing here? We're going to let everybody abuse about the tents, the church, from the city, the freebies. That's what you're heading for right now. Why have categories? Just put them all in one.
Well, that's how it was before.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
These events are planned for the community. We want to attract people from out of town and the local people, and to have some kind of distraction for the family. This is a family-oriented event.
No, I understand.
So now, I don't see the point of saying what you're saying, but
I understand, you know, let's move on and I think we can beat
I
this.
got one more question.
Yes.
Councilwoman Lopez, I understand that, going back to the Mexican consulate, are they giving scholarships to kids here?
yes, I'm gonna have, well, I was gonna mention it on my future agenda items. The Mexican government is giving $10,000 for scholarships. And I have here all the information, and it's gonna be happening the end of the month, $10,000 every semester.
And that's for kids
The
here?
Mexican government for kids that live
In Nogales,
here.
Arizona?
Yes. And it's going through Pearson and Cochise. So why, now, let me ask that, why is the Mexican government giving away money to the United States? I don't see the point.
Because the United States doesn't give them a penny.
No, but we're getting off the subject here. Let's make a motion on this. We have a motion on this?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to go ahead and there is no agenda item on it, but go ahead and accept agenda item number 14 and support the Fiesta Podcast to the tune of $562.
552.
552 or 62?
552.
$552.
Okay, I think this is a little maybe complicated.
But that's money that-
I don't think that's what,
It's tents.
yeah, I don't think she's requesting money,
Money.
she's requesting the use of
The tents.
The use of
Yes.
it.
So you have to say equipment or the tent.
Yes, then I make the motion to go ahead and accept agenda item number 14 and support the Fiestas Patrias for the use of equipment and tents.
Second.
Second.
Second, okay. Well, we already discussed this as much as possible, so we're gonna go for a vote. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Yes.
Opposed?
Nay.
The ayes have it. Thank you very much.
The ayes have it?
Yes. You wanna have a roll call of this?
Are you clear on
Are you clear on the vote?
Clear. Let's do a roll call.
Okay, we're gonna have a roll call.
Slow it down.
Can I have a second, please?
Yeah, she's right.
Oh.
Make sure that I have the names.
Well, she's asking for a second.
Can I have
Can I have a second?
Can you wait a minute?
Okay, what do you want me to start their way or this way?
You can start with me.
Okay, Mayor?
Aye.
Mr. Felix?
Nay.
Mrs. Lopez?
Yes.
Mrs. Valdez?
Nay.
Mr. Parada?
Nay.
Mr. Genesian?
Yes.
Mr. Diaz?
Aye.
1, 2, 3. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 3.
Okay, you guys have it? Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Henderson, you can leave now, sir.
Don't call us, we'll call you.
I'll call you tonight.
You see what I don't work. Item number 16, consideration and possible. 15, let's see, I'm in a hurry now. Consideration and possible action on order number 2011-09-062.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to approve order number 2011-09-62.
Thank you very much.
Second.
Second, thank you very much. Yes. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Nice have it. Number 16, consideration and possible action of order number 2011-09-063.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve order number 2011-09-063.
Thank you very much. Your second?
Second.
Thank you very much.
Discussion?
None.
Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Yeah. Opposed? The ayes have it. Item 17, consideration and possible action on resolution number R2011-09-027.
So move, Mayor.
Thank you very much.
Second.
Thank you very much. Discussion?
Are there any questions for staff on this particular item? It's kind of a big one.
Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Item number 18, consideration and possible action of order number 2011-09-065.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Father?
I move that we approve order number 2011-09-065.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Discussion?
None.
No questions? And I guess it's that one right there? Yeah, basically.
Is this the one?
Yes. And we don't need to discuss, no, we'll stay down. I've been seeing those pictures all evening, I'm okay. Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Item number 20. 19? No?
19.
19. Consideration and possible action of order number, that was 19. Consideration and possible order of number 2011-09-066.
Mr. Mayor. Second.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Discussion?
None.
None? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Item number 20. Consideration and possible action of order number 2011-09-067.
So move.
Second.
Thank you very much. Discussion?
None.
None? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Is it aye?
Aye.
Okay, opposed? The ayes have it. Mr. Dilly, you mentioned something about item number 21.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Quickly, we need to make sure we're incorporating into the motion proposed changes to the resolution that's before you. In the motion, in the resolution heading, it refers to an account to general fund legal department. Anytime it mentions the word legal department or legal, it really needs to be changed to the magistrate court or the city court. So if the motion would include that change to the resolution, then I think we can move forward.
No, I think Mr. Machado should pay for everything.
I told him he was really trying to make that offering.
I'm just joking. Okay, so it's consideration possible action on resolution number R2011-09-025 with what Mr. Joey said.
City court.
City court. There
This
you go.
is taking money.
Municipal.
This is taking money from the general fund contingency offset account in non-departmental and moving it into the city court because they've got a personnel issue there that they need to account for.
Is there a motion?
So move.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you very much. All in favor?
No, I've got a discussion.
Go ahead.
I noticed that there's a frozen employee there. Is it budgeted? I didn't check my is that employee budgeted, the one that's been frozen?
All frozen positions, they've stayed in the budget as a position, but no funding assigned to it. This issue is because one of the court employees is going to be leaving on maternity leave, and there might be issues that require that maternity leave to be extended, which means that the judge has to fill that vacancy in order to maintain operations in the court. And this is going to allow her to contract out those services in the interim when that employee is out.
Has she been short by that frozen position in the past?
The position was frozen during Judge Dillo's time there, and when that was done, it was, you know, these frozen positions were in concert with what the department head was indicating that, you know, they could handle. So, you know, she, to her credit, or to her defense, the judge came on board a little late in the process during the budget cycle. So those frozen positions have just kind of remained in place. She has not come to me at this point in time indicating any kind of major strain associated with that frozen position. But as it sits, that all of the frozen positions throughout the whole organization are in place so that we could account for and deal with that deficit, which is kind of an ongoing issue for us.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Perez. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Item number 22, consideration possible action resolution number R2011-09-026.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
The next two items are relative to ADEQ stipulations for the city in terms of us getting into compliance with the NOV that has been over our heads for the last year, as well as just staying in compliance with ongoing regulations. The first item before you is required so that we don't have to advertise in the paper the entire ordinance, which would cost us an arm and a leg. And then the second item, the last item before you on number 23 is the actual ordinance. It's a big step for the city. We've been working on it for the last year, and so I appreciate your support tonight.
Yes. So we take them both at the same time? Or?
No, I
You said you were separate. You separate, okay. Do you have a motion on this?
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve resolution number 2011-07-026. 09-026. Oh, I was reading here, it's wrong. Okay. So it's 2011-09-026.
Yes. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you very much. Anybody have any discussion? No?
No.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. And number 23, consideration possible action or ordinance number 02011-09-003.
So moved.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Number 24, future agenda items. Mr. Dill, do you have anybody? Anybody in the audience have something? No, I'm just joking.
I don't have any.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Anybody else? Okay. At 25, Mayor and Council's report. We'll start with you, Mr. Diaz.
I'll make it quick. Went to the conference, League of Cities and Towns. Made quite a few contacts. Went to a luncheon thrown by Union Pacific Railroad. They got some good plans, some good feedback, good information. Met with Moises Perez from Linkages. We're going to have another job fair at the BFW in November. We just got to set a date. And that's all I got for right now.
Thank you very much, Mr. Parada.
Going back to the Union Pacific, that Mr. Diaz and Councilman Felix, we attended that meeting with them. They're going to come down here and have a study session with us, because I asked them about putting a sidewalk on the east side of 89. And they said they didn't see a problem on it as soon as we put a fence on that line. And then just have the pavement under our responsibility, like we have the sidewalks insurance.
Oh, that'd be good.
And
That'd
then,
be good.
right, then they said we had a project for the pedestrian crossing the railroads. They were willing to come. They were willing to put 5 to 10% of the cost or more. So it depends on how we propose, how we do the planning. But they were willing to help us. So it's a big plus for us, we can get it together, but
We should plan for that and maybe look forward for that study session with you.
and then we talked to the recycling people. So we better cancel the guy to come over. He was gonna come down and give us a presentation on how to get it going.
I talked to the same guy. That's a good one. Vice Mayor, do you have?
Yes, I want to thank Mr. Felix. He got in contact with Mr. Bermudez. We had a carne asada at the Placita for the Apache Booster Club. And also Mr. Kissinger, he helped a lot in getting all the permissions for us. Thank you, sir. Mr. Bachiller, again, we thank you very much for all your cooperation. It was a success for our kids, football kids, freshmen, sophomores, and juniors. Sophomores, they're doing a great job. And I thank you all for your support.
Thank you very much, Ms. Councilwoman.
Yes, I attended the keynote project for repatriados across the line. I attended the Citizens Academy graduation for U.S. Customs and Border Protection. I was at the Nogales Night Out, and by the way, Mayor, it was unbelievable. It was very, very good.
Thank you very much.
I also attended the Conference of Cities in Town, many contacts, and the booth was just great. I mean, everybody was really having everything that we had. I mean, we were out in maybe half an hour. It was really, thank you, Mr. Kissinger and Letty, and I mean, you did a terrible decoration. I mean, it was great. Thank you. Then I attended the Consulado Mexicano for the IME. IME means Instituto Mexicanos en el Extranjero. I'm also working towards a scholarship for students for Pearson Vocational School. And I have here all the guidelines if you want a copy so that you know more or less what we're talking about. It's a $10,000 scholarship that the Mexican government is giving to our kids in Nogales, Arizona. That's all.
Mr. Felix?
On August the 25th, we had an EBT meeting, and it consists of 5 board members. And we just brought in the 5th board member, which is Mrs. Fuentes, Carmen Fuentes. And what I want to report on this is that our account, I'm the chairman of that committee, that our account is right now at 2.526 million. We started last year at 2.297. We had a 229,126 plus at the end of the year. This account is doing very, very well, and the reason being is that that summit, Michelle does a heck of a good job. She's great, and so does Mr. Price. We have a really good crew. We take care of the employees. There was on the whole fiscal year, it was 4,343 employees that went to see a doctor, and 362. Hold on, do I have the right one? 4,342, and dependents 7,899 in the whole year. So that is doing really, really good. I wanted to report that the crew's doing very well. Also, Mr. Wayne, we attended the Chamber of Commerce in Green Valley. It was Happy Birthday Arizona, and it was fantastic. It was really good. Unfortunately, it was the same night of the night out, but we wanted to attend that one. Councilman Diaz and Parada and myself attended. It was great, and we did a lot of networking also there. Also, I attended Teacher of the Year with Mr. Councilman Parada, and it was great also. It was one fantastic night. The teachers were great. They were celebrated. A teacher from Rio Rico is the one that won the Santa Cruz County Teacher of the Year. So it was good. And also I attended the League of Cities and Towns, and like Councilman Parada said, we did a lot of networking, a lot.
It was very effective, and I want to thank all the council that attended that, and these cities and towns. It was great. And on that report, it was great. The money you guys are saving and increasing in that budget.
Thank you.
Good job. I have a running list like this. Do you guys want to listen to it? Submit it. I'm submit it. I'm gonna put it in the, I'm just gonna jump a couple of things. I just want to say that on the 16th in El Paso, we did the two events with the Board of Mayors Association. And today received the first resolution that we submitted as Board of Mayors, and it was to be forwarded to the federal government for staffing of the port of entries, which is good. Now everybody on board from San Diego to Brownsville, we're gonna go after that. And then I was with Congressman Grijalva at the Del Monte Produce regarding the 5 points of progress that he has initiated with a bill in Congress, and hopefully it'll help out not only our region but the whole border region. And I met U.S. Consul Chad Cummings, the new consul that took over Dinkelman's position. Nice guy.
Oh, you did?
Yes. He was there at the Congressman Grijalva's introduction to that bill. And also did the employee recognition. Then I got the opportunity to speak and meet with the Assistant Secretary Hutt with NCD at the national announcement for the $2 million grant that we received. And well, we had the Nogales Night Out. It was a great event, and all the law enforcement agents, I want to thank every single one of them. They did a great job, and like always, you know, the kids had a great time with the law enforcement agents. And I also attended the League of Cities and Towns. I'm going to skip a few of them, because I know some of you guys are. Mr. Jelly, you don't have a report.
I got a quick note.
Yes.
On the EBT, we have our fair again. We're planning our fair for October, so be waiting for a flyer.
Perfect.
And
yeah,
with the one we have every year.
Every year. Okay, great. Well, Mr. Jelly, I guess it's yours now. Make it short, sir.
Just quickly, we have a little bit of information on the Morley Avenue project. In light of time, we'll just stick that in your boxes just to give you a quick little update on what's happening. Between now and when the project is expected to be complete, which is December, we'll try to make sure that we do some little briefing at your regularly scheduled council meetings, not only for your benefit, because we can always put it in your boxes, but for the benefit of the general public that wishes to attend and hear what's really happening over there. So in light of the time, we'll put this one in your box, and you can ask questions if you have any on that. This week, we issued a letter to Unisource on getting the lights turned on or off, depending on how the study played out, for what we titled Phase 1, but that's Quadrants 1 and 2. Quadrants 3 is complete. I'm waiting for the report, and they're already well into analyzing Quadrant 4. So hopefully we'll be able to get both of those quadrants back out in front of you in a short time frame, and you guys can give us direction on how you want to proceed from that point on. And finally, I just want to, I'm very excited about it. It's on a personal level. I got a text message from my wife today, and she said that, hey, we better buy that other car seat because maybe next weekend. So,
can you afford it?
Yeah, probably.
Raise or something.
There's always savers. You know. Anyway, but I'll be out of pocket for about 2 weeks there, whenever that blessed event happens for the Dilly family. But I just wanted to keep you guys informed of what's going on.
Thank you very much, Mr. Dilly. This meeting is adjourned. We're going to